Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
I'm sure no one will mind.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing, nutters, messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump, you know what I'm saying?
Welcome, everyone, to episode 511 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse. With me, Steve Wellings, Andy Patterson, Ozzie Smith, and another Smith, Mr. Adam Smith, Smitto. Happy to have everyone here today. Going back to yesterday, we all like having people in our presence sometimes, and then there's that moment in time where you're like, God damn it, I wish this guy wasn't here. And for Leigh Wood, I'm thinking that guy was Ben Davison. Pulling the plug with just seconds to go in the seventh round after Wood hit the canvas, following a fairly dominant first half of the fight. Exchanging left hooks with Mauricio Lara. Bad plan. Up at the count, hands in the air. He did look in bad shape, but seconds ticking away, and Davison threw in the towel. I tell you what, Steve, this was the opposite of Graham Earl, Michael Katsidis, the opposite of many of these wonderful things that we've seen from Leigh Wood. Ben Davis, I guess everyone can have their opinion, but Ben Davison, in my opinion, making a foul error as a trainer. And if I'm Leigh Wood, I ain't paying that son of a bitch another cent. I'm going elsewhere because Leigh Wood was putting on a good performance, and God damn it, he deserved that minute in between rounds to recover.
Yeah, Leigh Wood was fighting excellently. I said last week I thought he would do pretty well early on, and then Lara would knock him out in the sixth round. I wasn't far off it being the seventh, but I thought Leigh Wood was doing excellent. He had the range down, he had the jab going, he had the right hand coming over the top. I thought Lara was feeling sorry for himself. There was a bit of discussion in the Boxing Nutters group over whether Lara was biding his time, trying to break Wood down, or whether he was actually feeling sorry for himself. And I thought there was a couple of body shots that kind of caught him and pushed him back, but as Dave Lee was saying last night, Lara was just waiting. He was hitting Wood to the body, just soaking up his energy, taking every last bit out of him. And then when he caught him with that left hand, I'm undecided now, to be honest. At the time, I was looking back on it time and time again, and I was with you, but I think that we seem to be in the minority at the moment. Wood was out of it afterwards, watching him stumbling around the corner. But in the moment, I kind of felt like he should have been allowed to carry on, considering there was only a few seconds left in the round. The referee gave him a hell of a lot of time, pushing him back an extra 8 or 9 seconds to recover. And the way he turned straight round to Davison and complained, he seemed cognizant enough to me. I just felt that if he could have grabbed hold of Lara, kept going, maybe got to the break, then who would have known? We talk about things could have got nasty. Obviously, that's always the case in the boxing ring. But for every nasty occasion, you have your Moraleses, you have your Gattis, you have your Corrales against Castillo. Things could have got nasty in that fight, but it's one of the greatest comebacks of all time. I'm not saying that would have happened with Wood, but I just felt with it being at the end of the round, him being the champion, I thought that he was going to get the extra 10 seconds and maybe should have done, but it seems I am in the minority with that. I've been looking online, listening to what people are saying, and a lot of people I respect too in their opinions, and people who've been in there taking the shots say that Davison made the right call. So I suppose I'll take the knee to their better judgment. But for me personally, I felt like it should have carried on. And I know they're saying, oh, Wood showed the blueprint, blah, blah, blah. Wood's a big puncher, as they said before the fight. Lara
He's like Kendall Holt. His record does not tell the story of what his punches.
No, I agree with that. He hits a lot harder than people think. And the fact that Lara soaked it up to the head was never really buzzed. I think in the second round, his legs did a little slight dance, but I didn't go back and double check that. I could be completely wrong. But definitely to the body, he can be hurt. But saying that, oh, he's shown the blueprint, blah, blah, blah. Lara's been beaten twice before. He's going to be a real handful for anyone at this weight. The featherweight's pretty bare. I wouldn't put it past him winning another title. He's going to be in fun fights. That's the main thing. As for Wood, keep him away from Lara in the rematch. Put him in Warrington or something. People are talking about Conlon against Lara. I think that could be a bit of a bloodbath, to be honest. Wood's kryptonite's dropping the right hand. He gets caught with the big shots, but all in all, fantastic fight. Fight of the night. I thought that until I saw Neri against Marv Nation, which we'll talk about later, but I thought the main event was an absolute cracker.
Yes, but there's a lot of opinions going on. Smitto, I'll bring it to you plain as day. Is Ben Davison a pussy?
Probably, yeah. I don't know what his boxing record's like, but we accuse people of being brave trainers from time to time. But when I first watched it last night, and it's nearing midnight on a Saturday night, and the main event is still going on, I thought that it was the right thing to do. It was kind of the head hitting the floor. It was like bludgeoned to the floor. The punch landed smack bang on the chin, but he's obviously gone over, and he'd already been hurt badly. We have to remember that he was hurt badly at the end of the second round. I think it was almost a precursor to what happened for the finish. But yeah, I've watched it back today. I think it was too early. Just given the fact that there's quite a few facets to it, and if you take one or two of them out, or you change one or two of them, you might get a different opinion or conclusion. But the fact that there was only seconds left in the round, was it 6-10 seconds, something like that? The fact that he was hurt badly at the end of the second, as I've already referenced, and looked to have recovered from that, and he was in control of the fight as much as you can be against a big puncher like Lara, as the underdog, as Leigh Wood was. He was back in control in the fight, midway through certainly midway through the seventh, just before the stoppage. So those two factors, I think, could be taken into account. He's the champion, etc. He got up himself. He'd beaten the count. The ref looked like he was pretty certain to let him carry on at that point.
And he's been there before, Smitto. Like, this is kind of the Leigh Wood story, isn't it? He hits the deck and pulls the fucking victory out of the jaws of defeat. I mean, that's what he does.
Yeah, he hit the deck big time against Conlon. I think that was in round 1 or 2. A big overhand right, as I remember that time. So yeah, he's been down a few times before. But I think, yeah, all things considered, at home, the champion had recovered earlier on in the fight, and he'd got to his feet by his own accord. There was only so many seconds left. I think when you take all those factors in together, there's a strong argument for the town not to have come in. There's 3 of us spoke so far on this podcast, and we all appear to be in the minority, as Steve alluded to, in terms of Twitter, etc., or most of the interviews from the pros, Carl Froch and others afterwards, would say it's the right stoppage. It was obviously, heat of the moment kind of thing. Maybe maybe he was wrong, maybe he was right. But yeah, I was disappointed in the stoppage, as it were. But I mean, I'm going to sound a little bit repetitive on Leigh Wood, because I followed his career pretty closely, given the Nottingham connection. He went to the same school as me in the year above, and it was only 6 or 7 fights ago that Leigh Wood was in. He was a floating around MTK kind of fighter. Basically ended up on matchroom shows by accident. Wasn't really a matchroom fighter. Certainly wasn't one of these that had come through the Olympic system and have been promoted by Matchroom from day one. I think his first show was on Jordan Gill's undercard in Peterborough, first Matchroom show 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah, to have got to where he's got, I think he's overachieved to even get to this point. To be quite honest with you, I would say on here, fighting in leisure centres. I have been to a leisure centre to watch Leigh Wood fight, like 10 years ago at Clifton Leisure Centre against a Brazilian who they got on 5 or 6 days notice kind of thing. So he's overachieved to get to this point, really. I mean, we've got to remember, this is a fella that got beat by Jazza Dickens when Dickens was a massive outsider to win that fight. That was in the Golden Contract type tournament. That was only 4 fights ago. He's won 3 fights since Jazza Dickens, and then lost last night. So I mean, just a remarkable turnaround, really, just in that little section of his career. His last 5 fights to be defeated, majority decision by Jazza Dickens. 2 fights later to be knocking out Kanzu in the last round, whether that was for a regular title or not. We all know the Conlon story last year, fight of the year stuff, and then he's gone in against Lara. I know they've pushed the narrative about it was a voluntary defence. We should give him the credit for taking it, but you have got to admire his balls. Really, he could have looked for an easier route, maybe avoid Lara, play his cards right for a big stadium fight with Warrington. So you've got to admire that, but. Admiring that someone's taking a fight is all well and good, but that should be the norm in boxing. People should be taking tough fights, but we all know there's politics why that doesn't happen. He was. I actually, believe it or not, was listening to the Skeletor on 5 Live Radio last night. I don't know his name. Steve will know it. And he used the word midway through the 6. He used the word masterclass. Leigh Wood is showing signs of putting on a masterclass. Now I have watched it back today, and I think that's pushing it. He was winning the fight at that stage, but like I say, he was rocked really badly at the end of the second. So, although he was winning the fight, yes. Are we surprised with the outcome? No, as Steve virtually predicted it to the T last week. So, yeah, that was what made it a good fight beforehand. We was looking forward to it. It was the boxer against Lara that can knock you out at any time, but he has got his holes in his game, and it kind of worked out as many predicted. Will he come again, Leigh Wood? More than likely, but he's not that young anymore, boys. He's 34, 35-ish. But he's obviously done good tickets in Nottingham. Fair play to him. I think he's overachieved to this point, and hopefully he can maybe come again. And someone's already mentioned Warrington, and I'd be all for that.
Yeah, and Andy, it was a hell of a performance up until that point by Wood. I thought that straight right hand, I mean, he just kept basically landing that at will. I mean, just down the pipe. And then that left hook came. So we have that. And please, your thoughts on the fight, but also, I'm kind of tired of seeing Lara have to wander over that direction. I'd rather see Wood take on Warrington and let Lara go his own direction. Give me your thoughts on that too.
Well, I'll keep quickly on that one, actually. Just like post-fight, obviously, my opinion, I think Wood was probably concussed. He sounded pretty bad to me in the post-fight interview. If he is concussed, then the logical thing, or the advisory role would be, don't take that rematch straight away. Let the guy go and have another fight if he wants, and the fight can be there for you whenever that clause expires, or if it does expire. But he doesn't need to jump into another fight like that. To be honest, look, you'll probably get people gassing it up, and Dave Leigh was saying it like there last night. You'll get a lot of narrative building now, probably the next few weeks, the coming days, possibly. That as Smiddle mentioned there about Macintosh on the radio saying it was a masterclass. It's way overstretched in my opinion. Okay, he was maybe winning the fight by a few points. Some people had Lara only winning 1 round. I think Carol Frampton, I believe, had it 1 round to Lara only. But if you look at that fight again, every time both guys were landing big heavy shots, but if you've seen the difference in the shots that Lara was landing, Wood felt it each time, and he stayed hurt. He was getting marked up. He was getting badly bruised. I think a bit of blood in that as well. Lara, for all his deficiencies or whatever in that, he took some hellacious shots as well, but he ate it. And okay, maybe he was hurt, definitely. Maybe it started to take a tell on him by the 6th round, midway point. Maybe he was tiring a little bit. Both guys were definitely loading up in big shots, but the ending was absolutely emphatic. I mean, the way he pivoted on that left foot just to kind of get the left hook across was absolutely fantastic. Wood completely out of it. I am kind of on the fence on the stoppage, to be fair, because you can argue that he's a champion. He deserves the respect to continue. He got up on his feet. He was up before 8. It's just one of the type of situations because of the punishment he was taking. As I say, he admitted it himself. He was hurt. The legs were gone after that first knockdown. You really are running the risk, and it just takes the one punch just to turn the whole thing right around. Your whole life, never mind your career, your whole life. And that fight, the Conlon fight, plus that there last night, is probably taking a lot out of Leigh Wood. Maybe even that's probably his best years behind him now, to be fair. And you want to put him back into a rematch? No, I wouldn't be going along that line just now. Actually, I would leave it. I would leave it definitely. But look, The stoppage, I'm 50-50 on it. As I says, you can let him continue, but the referee would need to be like a helicopter. He'd need to be right on the spot. The first shot that landed, he would probably need to have stepped in straight away because Wood didn't look like he had anything about him to kind of defend himself. He was struggling to get up, to be fair. It took him, a good wee minute just to kind of get himself kind of like back to it. But it was just brutal. It was absolutely brutal. And I'm going to say that the stoppage was probably fair. It says it's better to be fractionally early than being a fraction too late, because as youngsters growing up, we've seen our fair share of damages in the ring. McClellan, Watson, we've seen we've got a fighter come up next week. Matthias has killed a guy in the ring. We didn't want that, but some people want to see the fighter kind of obviously get a chance to continue. Carl Froch was saying, I think he said last night that it was stopped too early. I think he's now changed his opinion on it, because he spoke to Leigh Wood. And I says Leigh Wood said his legs were gone. It was the right call. Who knows? Who knows? Only he knows. End of the day, and us as fans, we expect the fighters to give that wee bit extra to go out on the shield, because as I says, if he'd ended it completely, knocked him out iced on the ground, there'd be no dispute about a rematch clause and that type of stuff. What would we want to see it? But now we're going to get he was outboxed him, he was outclassing him. And it'll be like a Johnny Nelson type story. It'll be like a lucky punch, possibly, which we know better end of the day, because Lara was for the get go looking to land those heavy punches, leaping into those shots and that as well. So fair play to him as well. And as Eddie says, we'll see more of him in the UK. So he'll try and runs as much out of him as possible, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a hell of a fight, and I don't know, Oz. It's one of those things for me that I think that I mean, I wasn't necessarily surprised that Wood went down, but in that whole thing, the only thing that surprised me in the whole period of him getting knocked down to the end of the fight was the towel coming in. That was the only thing that seemed out of place for me, and it's just I don't know. There was something that was anticlimactic about it. Even if Wood is saying, yeah, he was fucked. It's just anticlimactic. It's a movie that doesn't have a decisive ending in its own way. It left you wanting for just a little bit more. What do you think?
I think every time the towel comes in, like, it does stop that big booming KO that a lot of boxing fans want to see, and that's ultimately the point of it. It stops the fighter from potentially getting badly knocked out. So I remember when Dominic Ingle stopped Kell Brook against Gennady Golovkin, he was up on the side waving the towel, and he probably stopped Brook from getting basically becoming like a gif, or a big video clip from where it goes viral because he gets banged out and he's laid out cold on the ring. For me, the stoppage was bob on. I completely agree with it. Wood was done. I think he's come out in an interview today and said he was goosed. He had nothing left. And I think fighters do need saving. I understand why people potentially wanted to see it. He's got power. He carries his power late. But ultimately, though, if you are done, don't matter how hard you hit, you've no foundation, you've no balance to throw any of those shots. And I think the one difference was from where someone mentioned about the Michael Conlan fight. Michael Conlan is not a big puncher. I was shocked that he even had the power to drop Leigh Wood. Lara is a concussive puncher. It's natural, each shot is a thudding shot. I'd put his power up there, probably along the lines of, similar ilk to like, Gervonta Davis, Wilder, Beterbiev.
No.
I will admit that sort of thudding concussive shot. Every shot is thrown with power. That's what I mean by it. Like it comes natural to the likes of Wilder.
When have you seen him spark someone?
Wood stayed hurt, though, mate. Wood stayed hurt when he got hit with those shots.
Yeah, that's
Lara
what I mean.
didn't.
Yeah.
Well, I've never seen him spark someone, and I think you have to have that spark him out power to be put in that same echelon with Wilder. I mean,
no, I've got a category for him. I've got a category for him. Marcus Maidana.
There you go. I think there you go. I think you're in the business on that one, Smitto. I can buy that.
I'm saying it more that the guys that I mentioned there, every shot they throw is concussive, and just on that comment there, Tyson Fury got up from Deontay Wilder's shot. So technically, people do.
Tyson Fury
yeah,
isn't human.
he still got up though. He still got up. But for me, the stoppage was right. I thought Wood, performed admirably. Did really well. Probably outperformed expectations. But to say it was a masterclass, I disagree with that. He did lose rounds as well. He was just outboxing Lara, who can get outboxed. And let's have it right. Like Warrington wasn't completely schooled in that first fight, and he did win rounds as well. So the guy can be done. I think he is vulnerable to the body.
He wears you down, though. I mean that's for sure. And he didn't even throw
that's
that
what I
many
mean.
punches. He definitely wears you down.
Yeah, exactly. And look, it shows that his power is legit. He's carried it late. And I think, Davidson, has saved Leigh Wood for another day. I agree on the rematch. It's not something that I would be activating at all. I think, that's just one from where you've just got to say, yeah, that it's one of them. He's better than me. I don't see what Wood can do differently. That bear in mind, last night, he took a hell of a lot of shots, etc. What would he do different? Is he going to completely box, go on the back foot? It actually kind of takes away what he's good at as well. Because I think he did hurt Lara a couple of times. But overall, excellent fight. It's no surprise that, up at top level, I'm going to give Wood credit for doing the voluntary a little bit. But if you want to be a world champion, you do have to fight the best. So, it's one of them that we should see more of it. There's talk now that they're going to put Lara with Warrington again. I think that is a bad fight for Warrington as well. After the two, obviously that first Lara fight took a hell of a lot out of him. Do you remember what state he was in then? I mean, that's an example, Matty. Like Warrington was, it's like he'd had the shit kicked out of him with a baseball bat. Jaw was all over, slurring his words, concussed. He was in a bad way. The fight to make next, it doesn't need a belt on the line because it is fan friendly and it works. Is Leigh Wood against Josh Warrington?
Yes.
A world title does not need to be on the line for that. It is an excellent fight regardless. The two styles would gel tremendously well. It would do loads of tickets. I think it would do decent numbers in terms of viewing as well. And I think, as a boxing fan, that's one fight that everybody can get on board with.
Do
I
their
understand
hometowns
why.
have rivalry odds?
I wouldn't. Smido can probably answer that, but I wouldn't really say Leeds and Nottingham as such.
Oh, there's plenty in it. There'll be plenty in it.
There would be, yeah, but I wouldn't say, like there's an out and out rivalry, for example,
it's funny. I was having this conversation the other day with someone from work in regards to football, and I won't lull on it too much. Leeds seem to just have a mad rivalry with all sorts of people. Manchester, obviously, United's a big one. They're close in location, but another one, if you think of Chelsea, just like from tradition from the 70s and 80s in the football. There's no love lost between Forest and Leeds, but you wouldn't have it as a definitive rivalry for either club.
Yeah. But you're right, though, in saying that there will be a lot of football fans there in terms of Leeds and Nottingham Forest. So it'll be naturally probably a bit of aggro as well.
But I can't see that happening, though, because Lara's done the old spat at Warrington over the thing. I there's no world title. I 100% agree with you, Ozzy, but I can't see that route they're going to take Warrington.
No, I know. Like, I was just looking at... Yeah, I was just looking at since Warrington, like, he left Warren and went back to Matchroom, and he's had a terrible run. He had to vacate his title. Then he fought Lara and got banged out. Then he rematched Lara and got cut, and it was a draw. Then I think he had a tick-over win, and then he got beat again. Did he beat Martinez? Sorry, was it Warrington? Yeah. And then he gets beat off his mandatory, and it's like they're now going to look at putting him in with Lara again. They might say that Leigh Wood fight will still be there, but if Warrington takes another sustained beating like he did against Lara first time round, which, again, I can't see Warrington boxing any other way, and that come-forward style, which, he does show quite a bit of, will just play into Lara's hands. He's too brave for his own good because he can take a shot, but at the same time, look at what happened last time. I think that could be the end of Warrington. So you might say, like, the fight will still be there. And it's likewise, again, if Wood rematches him and takes another beating, that Warrington fight might not be there because Wood might just think, I'm done here. And that's it.
Even when
I get one.
even when he wins, he's getting the shit kicked out of him in his own way.
That's what
His
I mean.
career's been
Yeah,
rough.
exactly. Whereas the fight to make next is, for me, like I said, is Warrington Wood, and for Michael Conlon, who's kind of on the scene as well. He needs to be staying well clear of Mauricio Lara as well, because that is a terrible matchup for him. Because again, I don't think Conlon has got the. Again, can he outbox him? Yes. Can he do it for 12 rounds? Probably not. And I think he'll get caught. And I think, again, it could be a bad night for him. He's just, look, he's a difficult fighter now, Lara. Hearn said his next fight, again, is going to be in the UK. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. But, yeah, ideally for me, if it was me matching him, I'd be matching the two English lads together and keeping him clear of Lara and nobody else.
I think the reason that that Lara is such hell for Warrington, especially recent Warrington incarnation, is that Lara is not afraid to get in there and go tit for tat on the dirty shit with him. He won't let him bully him around the ring. He's like, "Fuck you! You don't know where I'm from. I will fucking dig in and beat the shit out of you, boy."
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And it's what I like about Lara as well. He is, like, it was weird last night. And like Smido said, they've started to build that rivalry again. I think Lara spat at Josh Warrington. So
he did.
Yeah.
A manky, savage bastard, though, eh?
I would hate that, me. I would hate that.
I've had it done to me, like, on a football pitch. I had to wait 3 months for the return game before I could get my fucking payback on the guy.
Like Roy Keane.
No, I didn't know. He was actually running toward me, but he was looking backwards, looking for when the ball was coming over across. I just kind of stood my ground and just put my shoulder right into, like, below his chin. Fucking knocked him back. He burst his lip open or chewed his lip open, whatever it was. But I fucking felt good. But man, it's filthy, like, but at the same time,
yeah,
it's just fucking savage, man.
I'm looking at the division now, and it is sparse, isn't it? Featherweight.
It isn't. It isn't. Because think about this. So right now, what we got going on, and take promoters out of play with me. Just play along with me for a minute.
Yeah.
So you got Luis Alberto Lopez, who beat Warrington, has the title right now. You have Robesi Ramirez taking on Isaac Dogbay for the vacant WBO, I think. That's coming up April 1st. And I think Ramirez is going to walk Dogbay, frankly, but that's another story.
Yeah.
And then Ray Vargas still has his title, but at 126. But Magsayo is fighting Brandon Figueroa to become mandatory for that title now, and I think that Figueroa is gonna come through both of those fights. So give me Robesi Ramirez, Brandon Figueroa, Mauricio Lara, and Luis Alberto Lopez, and tell me there aren't some fucking fights to be made there.
Yeah, no, there is. Yeah. The Luis Lopez fight would be a cracker. That would be excellent. And I'm surprised that is something like Eddie Hearn should be looking to do now. He's actually, looking to potentially do, take shows to Mexico. What a perfect show to do. Headliner in Mexico, Lara against Lopez. That would be outstanding. They're looking at Canelo going back to potentially fight John Ryder in Mexico later this year. You either go with Lara on that card as well. You could do that. Is Lara now is he the super champion? Is that the way it's worked now? Did they upgrade Wood in the end or not? Because I know.
Oh yeah, because you still have Santa Cruz floating around there.
Yeah, but I'm sure he vacated. I'm sure he did.
It's a fucking mess, that, isn't it? Like, why are they super champions if
Wood
they
was
haven't
the full
unified?
champion.
Yeah. Was Santa Cruz was super champion, wasn't he?
Yeah,
wasn't he?
yeah.
I don't know.
It says on BoxRec that it was just for it just says WBA World Feather, no super mention. But then I don't think there is a super champion. But Lara, it should be upgraded. I mean, just sack the belt off completely. You don't need a super champion. But then you could go and then do, you could unify, because technically at the moment, then we're saying like he's like a paper champion, Lara, even though he shouldn't be, but he is, because if they've still got that super champion, it's like the B class belt, kind of worthless in a way. So yeah, that is a mess, and the fact that Santa Cruz has been allowed to hold that belt hostage for so long is just a piss take. But no, but yeah, you are right on that. But I mean, in terms of depth, so like Isaac Dogbow's not. He shouldn't really be boxing for a world title, in my opinion. like the way he's somehow got into that position. But yeah, the way in terms of Figueroa, Lara, Lopez, and even Magseo or Vargas or someone like that. There are fights to be made for sure. Ramirez as well. Sorry.
I hope before it's all said and done that they find a way to get Navarrete in the ring with Lara. I think that's got brutality written all over it.
Yeah, but I've got to admit, I don't. While I think he's quite a big guy, I'd be interested to see what Lara would be like against bigger guys as well.
He didn't look big against Wood. Wood easily looked the bigger man in the ring last night.
Yeah, I think by all accounts he struggles to. I say struggles. I think every weight cut is a struggle. I mean, it doesn't surprise me when he's smashing a pizza after the weigh-in. Why it might well be a bit of a struggle for him to get there in the first place. But it'd be interesting to see, if he does go up to super feather, how would he lose some of his physical attributes that are so valuable at featherweight? That will be interesting to see.
I was trying to go to Rob there for a second, but he was in and out. I think his wife caught him on the phone, so he'll have to sneak back out later in the evening when she goes to bed. We'll see him then. But yeah, that was a good fight. But Steve, I'll tell you what, I caught the last 8 rounds of Dalton Smith against Billy Allington, and I don't like Billy Allington.
Billy Elliot.
No, his last name was Allington.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, but I don't like him. I don't like the way he fought. He was a whole bitch. It's all good. The referee should have taken a point. I was quite bothered, Steve. I was quite bothered. It wasn't as bad as the Sims Chelly fight, but I was still quite perturbed nonetheless, as I think most of the viewers were. Your thoughts?
Why? What were you perturbed about? What was annoying you this time?
The holding.
Oh, the holding. I think Allington was holding on for dear life, wasn't he? I was just gutted with his 4 draws. He didn't get number 5 for you with a few
I
pound
did
on.
bet it. I said, I just think Steve's wrong this time. It's not going to be number 5.
No, I thought he'd get stopped. He held on for dear life. He went the distance, didn't win any rounds. Fair play to him. I think he did a good job. He didn't really belong at British title level, and he hung in there against Dalton Smith. It was all about Smith, seeing how he would deal with him. I think Smith's fighting Maxwell now. Eddie was talking before about future opponents for him before he'd even got past Ellington, so it shows the kind of respect they were giving on his name. But yeah, Smith toiled a little bit, laboured a little bit, looking at him in comparison to Adam Azim last week. I don't know where he's going long term, but in the short term, we know that where he's going, and the likes of Billy Allington can't hang with him. But yeah, it's not 12 rounds I'm going to be revisiting anytime soon, Matty, to be honest, but a decent British title fight nonetheless.
You thought it was decent? That's sad.
I thought Allington did all right in the first 4 or 5 rounds. I think he offered a bit of movement. He got the left hook off. He did okay, and then he was clinging on by the end, and I was kind of switching off and let him have his moment, Matty. That's what I say.
None of you guys were as annoyed as I was?
I got a bit frustrated down the stretch, to be fair.
Thank you.
Because I just felt it. So on you go, mate. On you go.
No, I was just going to say, I think that sort of performance last night is actually more disappointing from Dalton Smith potentially. I think he struggled. For me, he was levels above Allington completely. And I would like to see him have got him out of there. He was clinging on for dear life, but step up, put your foot on the gas a bit earlier. Your levels above, you can outclass him, you can outwork him, get him out of there. I'm not saying, it would have been a statement to get him out of there, but we always say that, when you're a level above, it's the way you deal with an opponent. And I don't think he dealt with Allington the way he should have done, in my opinion, last night. He's got power, Smith, but did he show it as much? I think that's where, if you'd have gone and blitzed him in 6 rounds, do it. Show you're a level above. I mean, the Maxwell fight, that'd be interesting, that, actually. Don't mind that sort of fight. He wants to win the British outright. Big fan of that. And then Hearn's talking about, future opponents potentially, stepping him up to like European, fringe world level type of stuff. And then he mentions Jorge Linares. The fucking shadow of Linares still getting wheeled out. But you know what'll happen though? But then if he gets rid of Linares, it's all about the hype, isn't it? Linares is a shadow of what he used to be, and he does not need to be coming. Well, I don't know, but he shouldn't be coming over here to be boxing the likes of Dalton Smith. Now, I'd rather see him retire. But yeah, the fact that Hearn's mentioning them, I think, I get it from a name perspective, but actually, will that sort of opponent do him any good? Because he's a shadow of what he was, and I think in his last 4 fights, has he lost the last 3? or something like that. So again, it's all about the name, isn't it, rather than anything else.
I don't know a lot about Dalton Smith, and I've not seen a lot of him, and I'm not really asked. But last week they was talking about Aylan Norez that Ozzy's mentioned. He's going to be his chief support on a proper DAZN Saturday night card. Although Kelly certainly wouldn't have been watching live, and they're talking about him headlining in Sheffield on his own card next time, and he's one of the best prospects in the world. So you're giving that perception or expectation, and the delivery is 10 or was it 12 rounds. With someone that's lost 3 of his last 4 fights, as Ozzy mentioned, not good enough. Not good enough.
As I was going to mention, actually, Matty, you could see early doors that Smith was levels above him, and as Ozzy says, if he just upped the gears a wee bit early doors, he could have got him out of there. But a survival tactics, I think, from Allington personally. But at the same time, as I know he got cut, and I know they were talking about the Maxwell fight, which is 2 months away. So maybe in the back of his mind, he's like, right, okay, I'm cut. I didn't want to get it any worse, so I'll just see it out. I'll just go the distance, and that'll be it. But it's like off the Benjamin fight and knew that one as well. I mean, the whole saying is you're only good as your last fight, and it really did nothing for me to say, look, listen, yeah, but this guy is worth keeping an eye on. He no doubt is, in my opinion. I think he's a very talented fighter, but I just think the last 2 performances haven't really lived up to expectations for me. At least considering some of the talk that I've been hearing coming out of some of the gyms, and obviously Ozzy's been kind of alluding to Dalton Smith for a good 18 months now, actually, as well. So maybe the Maxwell fight is one of those that will kind of bring out the absolute best in him. But I felt last night he could have done far, far more, certainly early doors. Maybe a wee bit admiring the work a wee bit, or maybe it was just frustration. It was having a wee bit of a hard time early doors trying to pin the opponent down a little bit. But you can see if he just commit to the jab a wee bit more as well, I think. It was the same with kind of Lara Wood there last night, actually. But, Wood was kind of pawing out with the jab, like three and fours, then he would commit with the 5th one, possibly. I just like to see maybe Dalton Smith kind of use that jab, because he's got the speed and he seems to have a bit of power about him as well. So just mix it up, but got to get on the jab more, snap it. Then he just kind of paw it out there and just trying to kind of get a range find and try and get the right hand in behind it once you get in the distance, get the jab working. Get it downstairs, get it upstairs, and then work off that. But hopefully the cut isn't too bad. He didn't seem to be too worried about it there last night in the post-fight interview. He just says a wee bit of glue, sort it out, and he'll be ready to go. Some people saying he'll be able to spar for a few weeks. We just need to wait and see. Hopefully it's not too bad, because I think that Maxwell fight is decent. And plus as well, I love to see guys try and win the Lonsdale outright. And if they can do it say in quick turnarounds, maybe inside a year, 3-4 defences, whatever it is, then that's good for me at least, because that means they're staying active and they're fighting the best challengers at least in this country that they can get. I think somebody said in the chat there that Allington was possibly at best maybe area level, English title level possibly. So maybe it is disappointing to see him kind of you say go the distance 12 rounds, but maybe the cut had a factor in that as well.
A lot of fighters end up with something on their resume like that, where they're in against somebody who's just come to survive more than they have come to win. So yeah, we'll see what happens next time. Because the thing is, if somebody comes in like that, you're obviously in no great danger of losing. So he really had nothing to worry about at the end of the day. But yeah, we'll see what comes next for him. You kind of wonder if they, moving him up the ladder. Hopefully they move him up the correct way. We will see. Before we move on, I kind of liked what they did at the beginning of the Wood Lara fight, Steve, where he announced all the different titles that Leigh Wood had won on his path. And I think that was kind of a nice indicator, kind of shouting out to the guys, this is how we did it in its own way. And that had its own charm in itself, I think.
Yeah, going the traditional route. Well, it's like Smido said earlier, and I said something similar last week. I think Wood's overachieved compared to where he was, where people expected him to get to. The fact that he's fighting Lara on Prime DAZN with the millions of people watching around the world in the Nottingham Arena is fantastic for him. So, I mean, he's done well for himself, hasn't he, really? I mean, you can't knock him.
Well, I was there that night that he got knocked out by Gavin McDonnell. He was winning that fight, and then he got hit. And like a few... what's the fella's name? The bodybuilder from Sheffield, Ingle. Like a few Ingle fighters at the time, that was the first time he'd got hit, and he didn't know what to do. Didn't hold, didn't do any of that. And career looked derailed then, and then he's done really well to get back to where he was 24 hours ago.
Yeah, and I think that his intangible that really matters is heart, and he might say he was done, and I can appreciate that. But I think the way that fight ended, they robbed him of that one thing that he has that allows him to really compete at the top level. Well, two, his punch and his heart. I think those two things have got him a long way.
On final point, sorry, we talk about if they'd have let it go on and he's only, that 6 seconds could have changed his life. It could have done. That is true. But that's why the referee's there to see if fights can continue or be stopped. The towel and the corner is like a secondary element or secondary possibility of a stoppage. So, that's why another reason why I think it probably should have gone on. Yeah, the referee, for as far as everyone can see, including us, was going to allow that fight to continue at the time. Anyway.
There you go. Oz, why don't you touch on the rest of the undercard before we move on?
Yeah, I thought Gamal Yafai basically pretty much needs to retire now. He suffered another defeat against a guy that, I guess, I think he was described as a banana skin, and this is exactly what he was. He's got a bit of an odd, when he's come over here, Shabazz Masood, who I rate really highly, just completely walked the fight against him, I think won every round. Then the fight after he drew with Lee McGregor, which, I think everybody on this podcast really rates Lee McGregor. And then, he's lost to the likes of Jack Bateson, and then he's come over here and he give it a go, and, look, he just basically, I think he drop Yafai twice or 3 times, something like that. So, yeah, difficult one, really difficult one for Yafai. Barely won a round, dropped 3 times. What does he want from it now? He made the move up to Jamie Moore, try and, freshen things up, do things differently. Certainly not blaming Moore, for this sort of defeat. I think, Yafai probably didn't have much left. And I think last night definitely showed that. So he'll be massively disappointed. Like I say, what's he going to achieve now? Does he just want to keep going? Is it for finances, or because he's going to have to go in the away corner? Don't see, in all honesty, Matchroom sticking with him anymore. He doesn't really offer anything. He's not a big name, big ticket seller. So yeah, incredibly disappointing. I thought Gary Cully, really rate this guy. I think he's excellent. Again, big stoppage last night.
He just ran over his opponent. Just ran over him.
Mate,
got to get him better opponents now than that.
I was just going to say, yeah, they have got to step him up in terms of opponents. I have no idea how he makes lightweight. He is a freak. He's huge.
He's Fundora, dude. Him and Fundora, very, very similar builds for their weight class.
Yeah, unbelievable. And honestly, as well, he doesn't look like he struggles to get there. This is a guy that I'll probably end up finishing, like middleweight potentially. But no, got to step it up. Needs better opponents now. We can't keep talking about, Hearn again. He's going to go all the way to the top. Right, well, let's start stepping him up now. Let's get him better opponents. And again, who did Eddie mention? Jorge Linares. Yeah. Cully will stop Linares, but it's like, is it a good achievement? Probably not. Not for what Linares is now. And like we say, when Linares was in his prime, he was excellent.
The last year there.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like, what do we, what's he achieve? It's just a name, isn't it? I think a decent opponent for Cully next would be potentially, do you remember Mexican guy who pinged out James Tennyson? Was it Giovanni Straffon or something like that?
Yeah. And then he came back over there and somebody just
lost to Maxie Hughes.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Maxie Hughes.
Yeah. So they have mentioned the Maxie Hughes fight, but in all honesty, I don't think Hughes is that keen on it. And I agree with Hughes, like he has grafted in the, essentially as like the underdog for his last 5 fights. Again, was promised a massive opportunity and a big fight.
COVID as well, when money was tight.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, like, in all honesty, like Hearn's mentioning, we want to make the Gary Cully fight. What we want keen to make the Maxie Hughes fight for Gary Cully. It's like, come on, like. Hughes, as like I said, he deserves a big fight, and I have no qualms in him binning that fight off with Cully. It doesn't need to happen. I think another one would be decent is it that, remember Patera? Is he the European champion, Francisco Patera? I think that would be a decent step.
I'll tell you what, though, Oz, there's be something I'd be worried about him, and I looked at a couple of shots his opponent landed on him, and he wasn't much. But the way he fights and the angle I saw, and I saw it sitting there perfectly, he needs to fix something because he's a sucker for that short overhand left that Sergio Martinez landed on Paul Williams. That same angle is right there, and his opponent caught him. He just not enough of a puncher to move him. But I'd be very careful putting him in again. Against another fellow southpaw before he trains for that well, because that punch is there.
Yeah, and I also as well believe you basically you don't really get the respect of your opponent. When you're better than them, and Cully was levels above last night, and you just think does it take a bigger name or a bigger fight, to prove, like you say, to potentially tighten up on those sort of things. I mean, it's not good practice anyway, but in terms of he'll be a lot more cautious type of stuff. But look, it's a difficult night's work for anybody at the moment. But like I said, like him, loads of ability, power. He knocks people out. But we do need to get him better opponents now. Otherwise, it's going to be one of them. He gets to 20, he's not boxed anybody of no. And then when he does step up, he gets ironed out. The rest of the card, there's only a couple of other. Chev Clark against that Israel, is it Duffus? Don't think it was a bad fight. Yeah,
that was funny. That fight was funny, actually. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and do you know what? I thought that was pretty decent matchmaking. Actually, I think that that he can bang that Doofus without a doubt. We had a close fight with that Fan Long Meng a couple of years ago. Look, we know what he is. He's got on a roll in the away corner and he just gets stopped. But I know Clark's I think he was an Olympian or part of the GB setup, but he's only had five. That was his fifth fight. So I think pretty decent matchmaking. He is 32, so they've not got time to wait around with him. But I think last night's fight, was good. I think he would have liked to have got him out of there, but I think he dropped him. He dropped him 4 times. Good watch. Definitely like him. And then there was a couple of others. Was it Kieran Conway got a points win? Sam Maxwell, who we mentioned before, got a points win. Junaid Boston, he stopped Peter Kramer. And then debutant Aaron Bowen, who is apparently quite highly rated. He got a first round stoppage win over a French guy. So thought the main event was without a doubt the best fight of the night. I thought the undercard was okay and probably lacked, probably one better, evenly matched fight. But yeah, overall it was. I watched it all this morning because I was absolutely bladdered yesterday in Manchester.
Yes,
so,
we know. We got the voice notes last night, mate.
Yeah, quite a few actually, wasn't there?
You want the receipts?
No, I've got them all. I listened to them this morning. But no, it was okay. Like I said, when your main event produces the goods, I'm not saying it makes the undercard acceptable, but it definitely helps. If the main event was terrible, it becomes a hell of a lot more critical. But yeah, enjoyable watching it this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a couple of good fights on there. Some junk, good main event, odd ending. It's boxing. What else do you expect? Something I did expect was a pretty good fight between Luis Nery and Azad Hovhannisyan, but apparently it's on some people's short list of fight of the year at this time already. Not for me yet. I still have a front runner on that, but my what a war! 11th round or 10th round after absolutely losing his energy and starting to get pushed around the ring by Hovhannisyan, losing ground rapidly. Luis Nery uncorks a wicked left hand, depositing Hovhannisyan on his ass. After a couple more against the ropes, he made it through the round, and then he took a few more in the next round. The referee pulled it. A few people upset about that stoppage. I don't know. It's a tough call, but God damn it, Andy, this is another good fucking war. I always want Neri to lose because he's a drugs cheat, but fuck it, he's worth the price of admission. Good entertainment.
Yeah, I shouted to the guys this morning. Actually, that was some good shit. Actually, that fight, I must admit. Both went at it. Fair play to both guys. I mean, it was the first 2 rounds you had. For me, at least, I thought Neri started far quicker in the first round. Let his hands go, straight shots. It was causing Hovhannisyan severe problems. And Hovhannisyan comes out second round. He's the one that's been more aggressive. He's backing Neri up this time. Who's kind of like he's forced in that kind of cross arm poverty Philly shell that he kind of tries and pulls off. But I think basically, if you kind of like watch it, like you see Nery kind of John at Hovhannisyan and who can go cutting round 3. And then you can see, like, obviously, they kind of pressing back and forward. They were just basically just taking turns, actually, weren't they? Really competitive fight. I think round 4 really kind of cemented it for me at that point. This is turning into something really good. Back and forth, great action. Round 5, you can see Nery that as well. He's like fucking El Mas Macho, isn't he, man? He's like, it's just like calling him in. Let's fucking go at it. And says Hovhannisyan's cut under the right eye. He's showing some bruising. Like the nose is starting to get a bit kind of disjointed, maybe a bit of swelling there as well. And I thought when about round 5, I thought Nery was the one that was kind of getting on the front foot. I think both had a good round in the 6th. Some heavy shots for Nery in the 7th. Basically, I think round 7 actually was basically the accurate. You can see, like, obviously, Hovhannisyan was having his own moments in that as well. But I just think the accuracy of the output and the accuracy of that output from Nery in round 7 was quite telling. And I thought that was Nery's one of his clearest rounds. And you can see it in round 8, he started very, very confident, high in confidence, and then you could see, I think it was like the last 20 seconds of that round, I think it was. Hovhannisyan comes on strong. Round 9 was a complete war. Round 10, as you say, Hovhannisyan's getting a quick check over by the doctor. Round starts, both are trading heavy shots, both are landing, close quarter battle. Then he takes, I know Nery's a southpaw, but it looked like a left hook, some sort of left hand.
It was a lot. It was kind of like the inverse of Manny Pacquiao's good right hook.
Aye, because I had to kind of take it back 3 times just to kind of catch it. It was that quick because obviously when the shot landed in real time, Nery had his back to the camera basically.
No, excuse me. It was a lot like the left hand that Pacquiao stopped Hatton with. Sorry, it was dead on with that punch. Yeah, very similar shot. Dead on.
Slight delayed reaction. Gets up. Nery's trying to finish the fight, obviously, but it was just too late in the round. And round 11, what can you say? I just think Hovhannisyan was. You could see it, man. He was definitely on rubber legs. He was very, very heavy legs. Sorry. And then he's doing that swaying thing, and then obviously I think Nery caught him with a left hand, and he's kind of like laughing or kind of nodding at it while he's swaying. Then the referee's like, "No, that's enough." And look, it wasn't enough actually, I suppose, because both guys had put a lot into it. Hovhannisyan, full action, man. He never backed up. His lack of defence really, or his lack of defensive capabilities really kind of let him down because he would just stand there with a kind of high guard. And if Nery could find shots down the middle and that, he would normally land. And then obviously that's how the punishment just started to kind of accumulate on him and that as well. But he did land a fair amount of shots on Nery, who, by the way, obviously getting stopped off Brandon Figueroa is one thing. He's a big dude, but I thought Nery as well, that chin was checked a few times and he stood strong to it as well. So fair play to him as well. I know he's a drugs cheating that, so we can fuck him off. But both guys played their part there last night in that fight. So fair play to both guys. Great action. And it probably will be, I think, actually a contender for fight of the year. If not, it will definitely be on Sunday's shortlist at least.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll have to go back. There was a round in there that I think is going to be on short list for round of the year in there too, Andy. I can't remember what one it was off the top of my head, but there was one in particular that was just good back and forth. And joining us...
9, I think it is, mate.
I think you might be right, but joining us again, didn't catch him the first time he was in here, rapping Rob Kelly. Rob, have you had a chance to watch this fantastic war between Nery and Hovhannisyan yet? And if not...
No, I didn't. I meant to get around to it today and I never got around to it, so I've only got Dalton Smith versus that guy.
If that was all you saw this weekend,
I saw
Smith and
Allington.
Lara. Oh God,
no, I saw Wood versus Lara. I haven't had a chance to watch the Nery fight yet. I'm a bit disappointed because I picked Hovhannisyan and Marv Nation, and he fucking funked up, didn't he?
He sure looked like he had it. It was, God damn it, he was pulling those the last half of the fight, Rob. I thought that at the very least he was going to yank the decision, but it was you got to give credit to Nery, Steve. I mean, he was getting back up. He chose to hold his ground and trade, and he found the money punch when it looked like he had almost nothing left to give, which also gave him some pep in his step, and he had the adrenaline to finish off the fight. But another great war. You got to give some credit to DAZN for putting this one up.
Don't know if you know, Matty, but he was behind on all 3 scorecards, Hovhannisyan.
Yeah, Nery was up 95-94 and 96-93 on 2 cards. So
Really?
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so Hovhannisyan was in the knockdowns, mate, or the knockout.
That's insane. That's some bad scoring. But anyways, continue.
Yeah, no, it was a great fight, absolutely cracking fight. I wasn't even aware of it till you mentioned it last week, so credit to you. And then I caught it on DAZN. I'm not sure we can forgive Nery for his past transgressions, but he showed some resilience, a lot of stamina. Let's see what his piss test provides first before we laud him too much, because you know what he's like with things in the past. But I thought it was
burn up, mate.
Exactly. It was in California, so hopefully they'll be tough on him. And he's in the VADA program according to BoxRec, so we can hope that he's clean. I just thought he was sharper. He was landing better shots. He was getting hit regularly himself, but it just after about round 3 or 4, it just turned into an absolutely savage fight. Hovhannisyan, his face was just bloody, swelling to pieces. His corner team were brilliant. They were basically like, jab, jab, go to the body. And after a while, they were like, just fucking fight him on the inside. Just go after him. They were losing all composure there. It was really good. Nery was taking blows, looking tired at times. Hovhannisyan was always dangerous to the body, just like Figueroa, as Andy said, took him out with the body shots. Hovhannisyan was having success to the body, a bit of kryptonite for Nery. Always competitive rounds, cracking fight overall. And a mention for that knockdown with the left hand that you guys mentioned, not the final one, but the one that really took all the wind out of Hovhannisyan's sails. I think it was just so well timed from Nery because he kind of caught him or whatever, and Hovhannisyan went down, and Nery just timed it brilliantly to hit him with that left hand. Just really caught him and hurt him badly. And then the stoppage itself, I think the referee was looking for an excuse to stop the fight at that point because the first left hand didn't actually land; it missed, and then the second one kind of caught him glancing shot, and then the referee jumped in and stopped it. But I don't know, man. Maybe let that continue. Bloodthirsty weekend for Wellington. I say let it continue. But Nery he's a big banger, isn't he? And no one stopped Hovhannisyan before. So this is a statement for Nery after beating Castro in his last fight. He's back really in the title picture. If they don't make Fulton Inoue, I can see them maybe trying to make Fulton Nery or something like that.
Yeah, they're trying to say that they want to get him in with the winner of Fulton against Inoue. Fulton is going to 126 after that fight regardless. So
did you hear Nery after that fight by with Conor Inoue? Like, what was it? He isn't a monster. He's little. Fucking Inoue's going to fucking bless him by like it's nothing. The guy's going to talk himself into a severe beating.
I think so. And would that make you happy, Andy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this was a pretty decent little card as far as considering. Yeah, I don't know what you guys else you're able to catch on that. I enjoyed Mosley Jr.'s win over Mario Lozano. I thought that was a good fight. Definitely had some good moments in that one. Not like a barn burner, but it was a solid enough fight, and I think it kind of shows Mosley Jr.'s level. He's just a kind of a shade below Gatekeeper, I think, give or take. But decent enough fighter. He's not his old man, but who is?
Matty,
I wonder would there be an angle to put together a potential fight between him and Conor Bain? Could there be some way to sell that fight? God. I wonder. What would be the angle there that you could use? I can't think of a common theme. Get back to me.
He's not his old man, but you're missing something on the undercard, Matty. The fantastically named Rowdy Legend Montgomery. That's some name who opened up the card. Rowdy Legend Montgomery got a win over Christian Olvas. That was the highlight of the undercard for me.
Yeah, he was a really lanky fighter, and
see his hair.
Yeah, it was interesting hair, two-toned, kind of.
I don't think getting punched in the head is good for him, to be honest. Or maybe it'll kind of rewire him a bit. I think he's lacking, old Rowdy.
Something's going on there, but 8-4 fighter coming in on short notice, getting the W. He can afford some hair dye again, at least, so he's got that going for him. And there was also a good little knockout on there with Ricardo Sandoval. Andy, you might remember him in that close fight against David Jimenez.
I do, yeah. He won by a body shot. I think I've only seen the stoppage on YouTube, mate. And,
that was about it. It was a 2-round, second round. Good shot though. Good shot.
He badly done up G Harris over here actually with a body shot as well. The guy just needs opportunities. I think he's a decent fighter, but I think he's kind of like, because of inactivity possibly, I think he's been dropped to some of the rankings. What weight was it? Was it light fly or minimum weight?
That was at 112, I think.
112. So it's
that was 112. Yeah, that's where he fought Jimenez. That wasn't it? Because Yeah, that fight with Dalton was 112 too, I think. Yeah, 112.
Jimenez beat him, didn't he?
No, remember? Jimenez beat him just by the skin of his teeth. Yeah,
What's 112? Is that super
flyweight?
Fly?
Fly.
Okay.
Aye.
Yep. Regular fly.
He's a decent enough fighter, actually. To be fair, he's got power. Whether he gets over the hump and gets a title, I know the WBO one is currently vacant at the minute.
Yeah, that's the one though that Bam's fighting for, the vacant one here in a month or so.
Right.
So yeah, but I mean, he's a good fighter. You and I love those lower weight classes. Those guys produce the goods. There's plenty of good all action fighters down there. So I'm looking forward to that.
We keep saying it though, is because the division it gets recycled quite often. You get fighters moving up, they can move down in weight. And there's usually like a new faces kind of copping in every other 18 months and that. And as I said before, sometimes you get guys in the top 20 picking up a title. Up in the higher weight classes, it's really kind of unheard of, actually, that you get guys coming for the top 15, top 20 and beating the champion as such. Or very seldom does it happen up in the higher weight classes and that. So down there, that you do get the odd upset, so it keeps it fresh.
Yeah, one thing I like about those weight classes is those guys, they kind of move weight classes easier, Andy. So some of those fights that we think of like, oh, that'd be great, they're more possible than somebody, even if you're at 108, going to 115, not a big deal. It's a whole lot different than saying I'm going to go from 154 to 168, right?
Yeah, plus as well, it's cheaper. I'm not going to guess how much, like, Jesse Rodriguez makes, for example, and that. But you'd imagine something like that. I know there's a fight in Thailand in 2 weeks' time for doing the minimum weight. That kid for Dominican Republic, is it Eric Rosa or Sosa? I think his name is. He's fighting out there. And that. I mean, I wouldn't imagine that would be any more than $40,000 possibly to put that fight on. So it says if you're looking to flesh out your card a little bit and that, and then you'd probably target these type of fights, but. It's just looking at some of the champs and that they do it pretty much. Apart from Jonathan Gonzalez or Melvin Jerusalem, sprinkling between like some of the Hispanic fighters and obviously a lot of the Asians and that, like Japanese and Thai fighters, or a couple of South Africans sprinkled in there as well. So yeah, it's fresh. And it says obviously we had Dalakan. He's been out recently as well. Son Edwards needs to get active again soon. What's happened with Cesar Martinez, actually? I know he's back down at 112 after that Chocolatito beat.
Don't know. That's a good question.
You see him as well back in action at some point. As I say as well, you probably like up at 115, you'll have like Gonzalez, Estrada, and that as well, kind of like possibly retire. And I read somewhere that Ioka's vacated his WBO belt. So that'll be Nakatani and Maloney fighting for the vacant. I don't know if Ioka's going up in weight, possibly to maybe try and put himself in for some of those vacant belts up at 118, because Inoue's vacated all the belts and that, so there'll be a scramble to get, because I see Daenerys fighting for the WBC title possibly at 118.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there'll be a free-for-all for some titles. Now I'd imagine maybe Top Rank will try and get one of the Maloney brothers in there as well for, like, is it Jason Maloney, I think he's at 118 as well. And by the way, Libero Solis is still kicking around about the top 3. That guy must be fucking 80 now. Fucking hell.
So yeah, that was the Great DAZN card, and again, apparently people on here, I'm very disappointed you're not seeing Nery versus Hovhannisyan yet, because man, what a fight we're talking about on that. But we'll see what happens with both those guys. I think that fight took a little bit out of each of them.
You want to ask me about any of the ones I fucking saw?
No, we'll get there in a second. There was also a Showbox card on Friday night. The best fight on that, Edward Vasquez taking a split decision over Michel Lopez. That was definitely a good scrap on that one. And then what was the other one on there? Let's see here. I believe
Kurt Scooby. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a pretty quick knockout. I actually missed that one, Steve. I turned on the TV 20 minutes late and managed to miss that one somehow. And but the other one was, there you go, Ardrell Holmes beat Ismael Villarreal. Did you catch that one, Steve?
Yeah, I'm not going to say much. It was a tough watch, to be honest. Holmes was a good He's gone. Holmes was a good amateur back in the day, but he kept on grabbing hold of the shorter fighter who was winging away with bombs. And I only had it on the background, Matty. I enjoy a Showbox card, but these two weren't particularly well matched. And I know Holmes has been inactive a lot over the years, but yeah, definitely the Scooby knockout was the pick of this. And then Vasquez, the fight was good too, but the main headliner wasn't great now.
No, well, I don't know if you kind of paid attention to the last few rounds. Like the last 3 rounds, he started to turn it up, keep his distance instead of leaning against the ropes and holding when Villarreal closed. And the last few rounds were more entertaining, and he definitely showed more skill. I wish he had fought like that the whole fight. I think he probably would have stopped Villarreal. He showed a great different choices and punches, has the whole arsenal. But it just, he just took the lazy route to the decision on that one. I thought those first 6-7 rounds, he was content just to out talent Villarreal.
Matty keeps saying Arsenal and Villarreal. I think he's talking about the UEFA Cup.
UEFA Cup final.
In your own time, lad.
I've got nothing to add, Matty. You watched the first 5 or 6 rounds quite intently and then gave up on the last 4, so an L for me by the sound of it.
Yeah, but what did you think of the fight in the middle there? That was a good scrap.
Was that an upset? Was the other?
I don't know. They were both one defeat fighters. So I don't know if it was an upset. I think it was kind of a pick'em.
Manny Robles was in one of the guys' corners though, so I thought he was the favourite given Robles was giving him the time, and I think he lost, didn't he? In the end, I don't know. I've kind of I can't remember. Matty, it's been a long weekend. Sorry.
No worries. It has been a long weekend. I'll tell you what. Let's get over to Rob real quick. Rob, why don't you tell us about the 2 fights that you took the time to see over the weekend, and then we'll move on to other issues at hand.
Well, there's not. I guess I'm on. It's time to announce the Gary Cully hype train here in Ireland. We're all about it now. Gary Cully back fighting in Ireland on the Taylor Serrano undercard, as framed by Eddie. But it's good to see him, exciting. Like, he's confident young Irish lad. He's talking the talk and all that. Like, and he got Flores out of there with a decent shot behind the ear. On the main event, Lara's becoming one of my favorite fighters, man. He's what the fucking sport. He's a throwback to your Ricardo Mayorgas. You're just high class theater and villainy from Lara. He's wanting to spit at lads. He's rough. He's fucking talking shit about people in the press conference. Before the fight with Wood, he's already talking about retiring Warrington in the next fight. He's a pure, entertaining Mexican fighter, all action. Having said that, slaughtered Boxer Size Ben numerous times on the pod, as we all have, but thought they were bang on with their game plan. I thought I had Wood up maybe by 4 rounds going into the 7th. Although Lara was landing telling shots on Wood, I thought Wood was boxing to a good game plan. Had a lot of success with straight shots down the pipe. Seemed to be bothering Lara at some stage, and like kind of the midway point of the fight, you're thinking like, is Lara fucking? Is he out of this? Like, or is what's going on? Like, is Leigh Wood has a? But you still had the feeling like that. You thought Leigh Would have to be pitch perfect or punch perfect rather. So as much as the dossier and fucking Ben Davidson with his new methods of coaching, I thought he did pretty well. But one of the things I thought Wood could have done better, when we're, I suppose, observing the fine margins at what level, is that I thought he started to get into a predictable rhythm, and Lara was able to find him. He kind of timed the left hook. You don't go hooking with a hooker, number one. Dropped the right hand low and got clipped himself. Now, obviously, you can drill on these things in the heat of the moment. There's fatigue setting in and stuff, but I just thought he was a little bit too tentative on the jab, in that there wasn't much authority on it. It was kind of pawing with the jab all night to set up power shots off the left hook and the straight right. Some beautiful pull counters from him early in the fight as well. He would actually got a lot of credit for him for the way he fought and his performance, but Lara's punch, man, like he fucking spun his head. Now on first watch, I thought, okay, that's a fair decision. Then I watched it again. I thought, I don't know what he's going for here. Like, my immediate thoughts were, here we go again. Like, Boxer Size Ben, the fucking fight whisperer. Here we go. Jimmy Whispers in the corner, fucking pull everybody out. He wanted to throw the towel in Fury versus Wilder. He pulled Saunders out. Fucking, I don't know. Like, all these thoughts are going through my head. But I think the referee actually made up his mind for him, because he was already giving Wood a little bit of time, and Lara was getting more anxious because of that. And he was trying to get around the side of him, and he was pretty much jumping on him, knowing that there wasn't much time left in the round. And I think when he just saw the distance between the two of them, he just threw in the towel. So look, at either way, he saved him. Like, I could be hypercritical of it at the time and say, fuck it, let it go. He's world champion. That's the way I was last night on it. And I did think, I mean, look, at two things could be true. Boxer Size Ben, it is still all about him at the end of the day. Now he's getting all the talk. So he loves a bit of that. But I thought he did really well with his fighter last night. on both accounts in the way he fought and pulling him out to preserve a rematch. I'm with Oz. I think Warrington versus Wood is the fight to make if you're either of them two. What's the fucking point of fighting Lara again? Neither of those two will be strong favourite. I do think we will get the Warrington fight now, though, for some reason. I think that All in the Ring last night kind of set that up. But we wait and see.
I think they should make Warrington fight Lara in Mexico if they do that again. Fuck, keep coming over for fucking Josh Warrington.
There's no money in Mexico, though, is there, for Lara? Whereas they'll sell out the arena for Warrington.
Depends. Like it depends on the right event, the right time of year. I mean, Mexico City. I mean, that's a huge fucking city, man. And it's all a matter of how many people you can pack into a place.
Oh, tickets for flipping 50 pesos and stuff, though. Why don't you put Lopez against Lara on against each other in there?
That'd be great too. I'm not averse to it. I'm just saying that I don't think Warrington has done anything to earn home field advantage.
I agree, but we all know the politics of the sport. There's no chance in hell that he's going over to fight Lara in Mexico, in my opinion. I could be wrong, and often am.
Dude, it's just fucked up. I mean, seriously, like, Lara shouldn't have to bring a mariachi band to England. Josh Warrington should have to bring Supergrass to Mexico.
I went and saw Supergrass once, actually live in Nottingham, funnily enough, Matty. Sorry.
What's that? What was that, Steve?
I said I went and saw the band Supergrass play in Nottingham once, so there's another circle back around for you.
Yeah, they had some good tunes in the 90s. They had some good tunes. What?
I was going to say...
On you go.
Go ahead, Andy. No. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that hopefully, you don't see many of the Leeds massive go out there. Like, can't see the casuals going out there. There's just no chance, man. Maybe got a handful going out there, but as in, like,
thousands of Leeds fans in Mexico City.
It's just not happening, mate. It's just not happening. It's going to be like Galatasaray revisited, actually, but 10 times worse.
Give me 5 bellies and fucking El Chapo.
Oh, mate. But bodies that will be like, what do you call them? Oh, rivers of blood in the streets, about fucking floating into drains. Oh my god!
I have to say, when you see the Lara spitting incident, it was disappointing that he missed Frank Smith because he was just right there in between the two of them. We should have got him as well, shouldn't he?
Rumor is the guard tried to kind of like jump in front and catch it in his mouth.
He spit it back out at him.
Yeah,
mate, that is a vile thought. That fuck me, the guard trying to catch fucking spit in his mouth.
But he'll be asking Lara if he actually shivers in his own spit afterwards. And that, you know what I'm like?
Ozzy, what would your Irish mate think of all this?
Depends. Alter Ego's gone to bed for the night now.
Ozzy, fuck's sake, man! Jesus Christ, he was pumping it up last night. Fuck's sake.
Maybe another time.
Bollocks, Oz. Fuck it.
Shit. Well, yeah. So that was a good day of fighting, guys. I know it spills over into 2 days for you, but you guys even get to continue it on Monday since you didn't manage to do your homework. But I love you anyways. On the lighter side of the news, Andy, I don't know if it's the curse of Adrian Broner or the curse of Farmer Bay, but that card ain't happening, man.
Shock horror.
So, like I said, when I gave you guys the fights for this coming week, I'm like, I think one of these fights is fucked at least. So, we got our backup here. But it just, man, I don't know. Some things are just cursed. And I guess I kind of feel for Tevin Farmer and Mickey Bay. I mean, I guess they haven't done anything to anybody, but can't you feel like this is just karma biting Adrian Broner in the ass? I mean, how much money did he make off of a 500,000 pay-per-view buys against Manny Pacquiao? The guy shouldn't be in the position that he's in, and yet here he is, the constant butt of jokes.
Maybe he shouldn't be in the position that he's in. That's exactly the position that he should be in, because that's what I've been telling you for years, which was going to happen. You're fucking old dad. I told you it was going to happen. Obviously, Ozzy was mentioned. We've got a couple of cars to discuss that as well, mate. But as for AB, about bankruptcy, about broke, that broke ass motherfucker not getting paid. He's on the Instagram there last night crying and moaning that he's broke and no mates left, which you love to see. But he's going to rue the day that he flushed those dollar bills down the toilet, mate, and thrown that fucking change and cash at the cash registers, all that crap, and money in the club and jewellery and bitch ass hoes, all that type of shit that he's been involved in, mate. I mean, he deserves everything he gets.
He used to make it rain, and now the motherfucker can't make it sprinkle.
Was this BLK Prime, Andy? I thought they were taking over boxing, weren't they?
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Just talking about just bare knuckle stuff. I see Austin Trout got a win last night as well. Just FYI, but look, this will be the third, fourth time that farmer fight's been postponed. It's not meant to happen, and these guys need to take the fucking hint that it's not fucking meant to happen. So fuck off, leave us alone. We don't need to know about it.
They've invested literally about
fucking
2
nobody
years
wanted
of
to
their
see
career trying to make it happen.
Exactly.
Fuckers are going around the world trying to make the fucking fighter over in Africa 1 week. Then they're like Captain Planet, man. They're popping up all over the fucking place for Bay Farmer. Fucking fight that nobody wanted to see. Fuck off.
Nobody gives a shit about it, mate. As I say,
I'm so invested in seeing who wins now.
No, what it is, you know something? You know something? See when we mentioned it last week? I'm saying to myself, right, okay, that fight's on next week apparently. And I completely forgot about it. And then obviously Friday night or Thursday morning, whenever it was, the Brunner's it was said Brunner's fight's off. I completely forgot Brunner was fighting on that fucking same card. It was until actually this morning I checked it. I said,
here, Andy, do you know where they should have had? Do you know where they should have had this card take place? Next week, there's a card in Ghana. It's not in the prison canteen. It's in the city engineer's yard. They could have put Farmer and Bay in there, man.
I'm telling you right now where this fight or this car should have happened. Matty knows the area. See that fucking place with that train derailment in Ohio with that fucking cloud? That's where it should have been fucking held, mate. Because it's toxic. Fucking pure toxic. Yeah. Garbage.
I had a hunch it wasn't going to happen, and here we are.
Nostradamus over here.
I wish I could have laid a bet on that. Why can't you bet on a fight happening? Like, give me that fucking action. What was that, Oz?
Why is it off? Was it on the Broner undercard?
Yeah, and then Broner. They replaced. First they had Red Catch, and his promoter wouldn't let him do it. And then they got what's his fucking bucket? Lundy, I think it was.
Yeah, Hank Lundy.
And then he couldn't do it because the California Commission wouldn't allow him to do it because he pulled out of a fight that was there, saying because of injury, and it was only 3 weeks before that.
I don't know whether it was a spoof, Matty, but they were advertising on Facebook for opponents, apparently offering so many hundred.
I saw that. Yeah, good money as well.
Mm-hmm. These are the same crowd that did the Crawford fight against Hovhannisyan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fucking hell, man! Must have done all their money on that fight, yeah.
Yeah, and so anyways, it ended with Broner's latest opponent getting cut in sparring, I think. So
I thought he got a broken jaw or something like that, actually. Yeah.
Fuck, I think he could probably would have fought Broner with a broken jaw. It's not like he's going to throw enough punches to matter.
But I bet you within the next couple of months, I bet Broner's got a fucking got a case out against him for fucking failed child support. And he's just not got a handful of kids, man. He's got a tribe of wains to pay for, by the way. That's like a fucking soccer team of Bairns he's got.
What weight was that fight at for Broner?
Heavyweight. Nah.
147.
He is actually looking pretty lean.
He looked good. I've seen a picture of him. He looks in decent nick. I am shocked that for all the names that Eduardo likes to mention, that he's not mentioned Broner recently for Conor Benn if he does come back.
Broner's wanting 6 figures. Oh, sorry, 6 zeros. 6 zeros. I meant sorry. For any type of fight, So Eddie's
that fight's worth about 6 zeros.
Eddie's not paying anywhere near that for fucking Adrian Broner, man. I'll tell you what, I think AB would be quite good in the UK actually if he would just play along. But who wants to see it, man? As I say, he's washed out, sucked out, looking for a handout shortly, man.
So
washed, I tell you.
So apparently there was also a BT card on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a lot of stuff, a lot more than others did. But Oz, go ahead and fill us in on that BT card, and then we can move on to other adventures.
Thank fucking
by
about an hour.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the BT card itself on paper was absolute trash. Basically, it was awful. Like one of their development cards, headlined by David Adelaide. Adelaide got now. Where we're talking about stoppages, the Adelaide stoppage, I would say, was probably a fraction early, and the fighter should have been allowed to continue. I forget his opponent's name, but he landed a big left hook on him, dropped him, got back up, looked a bit wobbly. I think, a bit of a UK stoppage from where if it was the other way around, Adelaide would have been allowed to continue for a lot longer. Trying to think what else was on the undercard. It was a lot of prospects, but Mark Chamberlain was on it actually. Got a good stoppage win over a really tough Italian opponent, and I think Chamberlain's the real deal. Really like him. Like the way he's being matched as well. I'd look to match him with someone like Ryan Walsh next. Step him up to that next level. You know, like Walsh has been up there, European level. Still knocking around the British scene, obviously going towards the back end of his career now. But again, will be a more than decent opponent for Chamberlain. And yeah, I think that it was at Royston. I think is it Royston Barney Smith or something like that was on. He got a stoppage win as well. There was no upsets. It was Henry Turner. It was Henry Turner. He got a stoppage win over Zeus de Armas. Spanish guy, and then a few others. Chris Bourke, actually, I think you saw that, didn't you, Andy? Excellent body shot by Bourke on Friday night. Yeah. I like Bourke. He's been on the pod before, and I just think the Leach fight came a bit too early for him, Mark Leach. But yeah, look, he's had some time out the ring, a long time out the ring. Bloody hell, close to a year. Just under a year. He's had
something as well, eh?
He did, yeah. You're right. So that shot he landed, clearly, there's no issues with his hands now. So he's waited. He's got time on his side. He just needs to be built back up now. And dispatching of people like that clearly shows he's got power. And he'd have learned a lot from that Leach fight that happened 12 months ago. So yeah, look, the card itself was trash. I don't understand why BTX. I don't care if it's like one of the development cards, but still, you want to see some quality. I'm surprised whoever. The quality control person at BT must be blind or something like that to say this is any good. But actually, it turned out there was actually some fun fights, completely by accident, because I think the best price you could get on any of the home fighters was like 1 to 50. From a betting perspective, that shows how massive favourites they are. But there was a couple of decent performances, enjoyment, opponents better than they actually looked, and like I said. I think Mark, talking about Gary Cully being the real deal. Don't think Chamberlain is of Cully's level yet, as in stature and probably down the road. But I certainly think that he could go all the way. It's a big ask, but I don't think he'll be a million miles away.
That Henry Turner, I was quite impressed with him, but at the same time, the opponents that he fought, he's not been fighting anybody but winning record. But I was impressed with him.
Yeah, and do you know what as well? That Henry Turner's record, it doesn't show that he's got much. Well, he's had 10 wins, only 3 stoppages. But interestingly enough, 2 of his last 2 fights, he's now stopped the opponent. So maybe it's one of them that tidy boxer. But when when the opponent is technically better on paper, they come at him a bit more. He actually finds the openings to get him out of there. But yeah. I like him a lot.
Or he's just learning to set his feet,
Yeah, that's true.
Boxing and moving, and they just you set and lean in a little bit and throw that fucking punch.
Yeah, he's only young as well. He's only 22, so he's got he could have another 15 years in the sport at the moment. So yeah, he's only young, but fights like that, in your 10th fight, I don't mind people like that. I am a fan of matching people domestically. He's technically got a world ranking off the back of that win last night. Not sure if it's top 15 or it'd be like top 20. We know that's kind of meaningless. But yeah, he's in the same division as, in 140-pound division. So, there's loads of domestic fights that could be made. I'd like to see him with someone like Leigh Appleyard. That's not a bad step up. He's, in between, English and British level. I think that's decent. Kane Gardner, Tom Farrell, fighters like that, step him up in the right direction rather than, putting him in too deep too early. So yeah, he's got some good kids, Warren. That I've got to say, it's one thing, he's never lost. He certainly has, an eye for a prospect and, the talented fighters, and there is value in those cards last night. And, boxing under the lights and on TV. Personally, I would just rather see a bit more, quality control, if you were to say, rather than just massive dominant A-side fighters, because while you'll learn from some, if you have more of these fights all the time, you will come unstuck eventually.
Absolutely. That's why you got to go those levels.
Matt, just briefly, obviously, just to finalise or round off the weekend's action and that for the hardcore. Felix Sturm back in action last night after his shock defeat in his last fight coming out of prison. Anyways, you would not be, surprised to know that he won a robbery in Germany last night. 44-year-old, he got battered for 10 rounds.
Should go back to prison for that.
I know. He took a 10-round decision over a guy called Sukre Altai. 97-95, 96-94, and a disgusting 99-91 scorecard. I've not seen it, and I got offered a copy. It was like a 20 gig fucking file. I wasn't downloading that shit. Anyways, it was the most apparently disgusting robbery of the year so far. 99-91, man. Fuck me. It was that bad.
So it's back to the way it was in Germany 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So fucking nothing's changed in Germany then.
What is Sturm doing now? Like, why is he still? Does he need money or something? Like what is he doing?
You need the money, mate. I mean, see when he got done for the tax evasion, the German courts actually brought in the fact that he got done for fucking drugs because it's a criminal offence in Germany to do PEDs. If you fail a drug test over there, you can get charged for it legally. So anyway, they brought that into consideration by saying that it was Chudinov says he was no longer a willing participant in the match because he was not aware that his opponent was juicing. So they brought up his tax evasion. They actually brought up his drug testing, and there was something else they brought up. So they fucking done him for fucking everything. I think he done the full time as well. I think he got 18 months, I believe. So and then he fucked off to Bosnia, I believe, Steve, as well, just to get away from it all. Or might have kind of tried to get away from the prison sentence by fucking off to Bosnia. But it's got to be money related, mate, to be fair.
But what's he getting paid for like that fight last night? Can't be a lot, surely. I mean,
I would need to see the arena to be fair, but
he's going to end up on a Pierrette Arslan undercard.
But he self-promoted himself, mate, through his career, so he should have money pumped away somewhere, like.
He was the promoter of the show last night. They boxed at the Porsche Arena in Stuttgart.
It's about 6,000.
So I have no 6, right? Okay. I mean, look, he's still a big name, but I mean, fuck me, he's 44 now. Like, what they got? I'm surprised they've not tried to make that him and Vinny the Doorman.
No.
That'd be
Abraham's a fight to get made. We're talking about the Abraham fight for fucking decades. Imagine they two getting it on at this time in their career. DAZN pay-per-view, baby.
Arthur Abrams retired, surely.
He's retired now, mate, but he could be tempted to do it for one more payday.
Okay.
And that was in DAZN Germany last night as well, by the way.
Mate, I reckon, but we might see him. Imagine he gets brought over here, Sturm, to fight the likes of someone like Zach Chelly on a Sky card.
Chelly, aye.
Yeah, somewhere like that. Yeah.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Let's see here, Steve. We got some questions in here.
No.
Oh, how sad. Well then. All right. Well, kicking off. Looks like we got on Wednesday. So when y'all wake up on Thursday, we got a Pro Box TV card. Remember, you can find all their fights on Facebook and YouTube with advertisements, or you can pay a couple of bucks and get them without ads. Going every other week on Wednesdays. This week we have Manuel Gallegos once defeated against Richard Hovhannisyan, who is undefeated. Also, Daryl Valsaint against Lucas de Abreu. And hey, here's one for you, Steve. Shockingly on this card, Jimmy Kelly is going to be going in there against Edward Julio Diaz. So yeah, putting some random stuff on there. And also Marquez Valle going in against Jared Tennant on that one. So yeah, a couple, and Valle's going into that fight undefeated. Tennant once defeated in that one. So there's some, it seems like another decently matched card for the Pro Box crew. So looking forward to that one and getting my dollar's worth on a Wednesday night. So y'all in the UK can keep your eye open for that on Thursday.
Good shows, Pro Box. They do decent. I know they're only washing money, but they're a bit like Showbox. They're throwing good cards, well matched as well. So don't know what Jimmy Kelly's doing fighting on that, but maybe somebody owed him a fight after he went in against Munguia. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But it's just good to see that they're keeping all this going. I like the idea. And Steve, I think what they're doing that's really smart. I mean, I think we've seen a lot of boxing platforms come along over the last decade or so, and a lot of the times it seems like they try to throw so much content out at you at once and try to load it up. And you look at what's happened, and these entities end up running their bank accounts dry. I like what ProBox seems to be doing here, giving us a couple of reasonable cards for a low price of money, and see if they can just build it up from there. I think kind of going in with a slow crawl is better than going into this with a sprint, but we'll see.
Well, I don't know what they're doing, why people come into boxing. I remember Brian Peters' matchmaker, Thomas Rowan, saying to me once, the only way you get out of boxing as a millionaire is if you come in as a billionaire into the promoting game. I mean, it's just losing money hand over fist, but you've got luckily, when an entity disappears, you've always got one coming in its place. So whenever we lost MGM, we had MTK turning up, and then they went, and then Probellum happened to spring up at the same time, just after, and then Probellum have disappeared, and thankfully we've got Disrupt Boxing, and Satanta went, and now we've got DAZN. So, as much as you smash them, somebody appears wanting to lose money. So long may it continue. Shout out to ProBox.
Yeah, it's worth my $3, Steve, and for you tight asses, you just have to watch some ads.
Just on that, Steve, I know they kind of faded away for a wee bit, but Universal made a wee kind of reappearance here recently as well.
Is Callie in charge now, or is Wilfred still?
No, that's Serlin, mate.
Oh, sorry, Universal.
Universal, man.
Yeah, they were the ones who competed against Sauerland,
yes,
weren't they?
Yeah.
Well, they promoted Sturm, didn't they, through his heyday, I think.
Well, Sturm eventually became self-promoted, self-managed. I'm pretty sure he fought Barker, I think it was. He fought Barker.
Yeah.
That was self-managed. But, because I'm sure that Universal are in charge is Dalakan, who was fighting the other week there on the BT card.
Well, they cut the money, didn't they? Universal, like you said, and Sauerland, who I was getting mixed up with, they both had TV contracts. I think RTL used to run the Universal cards. And then they stopped their funding. And I remember Universal started pitching their best talent against each other. Basically, loser leaves town, your contract's gone, kind of thing. I mean, God, I'm going back about 15 years now, Andy. But yeah, those were good times back then.
They were good times because you had you had the flagship fighters who were active. Marco Hook was fighting 3-4 times a year at his peak. Abraham was 2-3 times a year, even as a world champion. What do you call him?
Even the lesser guys, you had your Sebastian Sylvesters, Thomas Ulrich's.
Who's the guy that fought Stieglitz? Sebastian Sylvester, as you mentioned there. Obviously, Daniel Gill came over and fought him as well. Zinzaruk, there's a few other guys. Obviously,
the heavyweights, they had a lot of the Eastern European heavyweights, didn't they? We mentioned Erdai the other week, Karol Baljai, Vladimir Verchis.
And the Russians, obviously, Povetkin was with Serlin for a while on that as well.
Denis Boytsov, do you remember him?
Aye.
He was meant to be the next big thing. Big Banger got beaten by Leigh, and then he went on to fight Klitschko.
Did you hear what happened to him?
Didn't he fall down the stairs or something?
Yep, he was apparently. Well, this is the story at least, but people are mentioning dark arts with Russia and all that thing. But apparently, he was drunk one night and he fell down the stairs at the subway and bashed his head, and ended up in a coma and never obviously recovered fully off the back of that.
My God, I didn't know it was that bad. No.
It was really bad, mate.
He was going to be the next big hope. He was banging out people for fun before he ran into Leigh.
Just around about that time you mentioned, there was quite a few Russians, heavyweights at that point coming through. Obviously, you had Fury coming through at that time, Boytsov. I think Dimitrenko was still undefeated. Undefeated at that time as well, So Joe Parker would just be probably at the start of his career in that as well. So there was some names coming through. Povetkin. I remember Terry Atlas going off on one with Povetkin. Remember when they got offered the contract for the Klitschko fight? I believe it was Terry that pulled Povetkin out of it because he was saying he was basically getting set up to fight for fucking zero. Because what the Serlins were meant to be making off the back of that, and Terry didn't want to be involved with that, so
good times.
Might as well, while we got a moment here, thank everybody for being in the chat. We'll get as many names as we can. Thanks to Michael Thompson, Paul Rafferty, Ben Russell, Ryan Ormerod, Matt Butters, Yimmy Yappy, Nothing for Something, M. Lithgow 1983, Jim 2.0 on Skimmed Row. You might know him better as Jim McDonald Boxing. Let's see here. Johnny, he's just a mononym now. He used to be Johnny Horsecock Nelson. He's going the Prince route. He's that famous. Big A up in there. Let's see here. Chris Mason, the darts legend, stopping by today. Thanks for stopping by, Chris. Dez in there as well. Thanks, Dez. I know Take Ames has been in there. Dr. FMG, Thomas Newman. Let's find one more as we do the scroll. And we got a Michael Lekis. Michael, thank you very much for coming in here. And he loves Oz. I think you either got a fan or a stalker, Oz.
Yeah, he's dangerous, him.
You just, I don't know. You ooze boxing knowledge and sex appeal, Oz. So what way could it go? I don't know. You'd have to ask the fans, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say to that, which is quite rare.
Yeah, I'm always up for making things awkward just to get a moment of silence here and there.
Order a Chinese Oz and invite him round and say "bosh."
With Keith Della's spring-loaded darts as well.
What's his pal? Where's Tom Skinner these days with his fucking videos? That man, his cup of tea.
I'm not sure actually. He's been quite quiet as Tom Skinner.
I bet he's got E. coli poison or something after some fucking dodgy curry he's ate doing at fucking Smith's Calf or something like that, you know. Plate of fries.
Down at Dino's Calf. Oh,
Dino's
mate,
Calf,
like some of the food he bloody gobbles of a morning, like curries and beef bourguignon and stuff like that. I'm just thinking
That's
it
a good
looks
meal.
vile. Yeah, but mate, not at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, not at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'll give you that. Maybe like if you're camping and that's your option, is you got just bring what you bring.
For breakfast, man.
His argument is he gets up that early. That 7 o'clock is his lunchtime. He's literally just a smaller John. He's trying to justify like the time he eats and stuff. So like his tea is at lunchtime. So then what do you eat at 5 o'clock? He has another tea and stuff like that. It amuses me. But yeah, Big John has pinched these Bosch word and is essentially now more famous for it than anything else. Big John's latest video is now out, by the way. The Big John Chinese sit down. Dennis McCann is the latest to appear on it. John probably eating more Chinese than Dennis McCann weighs, going off the video. But yeah,
of course it would be a sit down.
It's not going to be a.
They ask the questions. So tell us, Dennis, what's your favorite Chinese meal? What's your favorite Chinese beer?
That's one of the challenges at the end. All the guests have to list like a load of Chinese dishes in like a minute.
Oh no.
Well, he better be careful. He's going to need to stay light on his feet if he hopes to move some tickets for that March 11th event that his son's going to be on there. I'll tell you what, the
gravy veins. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, well, what are you
light
going to
on
do?
His feet.
I'll tell you what, though. What I'm looking at on that card that's kind of interesting to me right now. Just real quick, I was just kind of bouncing around while we were through the schedule. Liam Perro against Robbie Davies Jr. That's an interesting fight. But anyways, we'll be talking about that in a couple of weeks. Yeah, that's oddly interesting. But for now, let's hop over to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We're going to go to the Sunday card. I think this is actually might be going on while we're going to be podcasting next week.
Yeah, it will be.
But we'll just get this in there. I'm not too worried about our fan base not joining us to watch this, let alone paying money for it. But you never know.
Fight on that card worth watching.
There is one. We'll talk about that. The card is headlined by Jake Paul against Tommy Fury. 10 rounds. First time 10 rounds for Jake Paul. The best fight on that card, though, at least the most interesting fight on paper, we got a 12-round fight for the WBC Cruiserweight title between Ilunga Makabu and Badu Jack. Andy, Jack has a hell of a fucking chin, but he hasn't really fought many of a puncher since coming up to Cruiserweight. Makabu, man, that guy can slug a bit. I don't know. This could be interesting.
Machino got hosed.
He
that
did.
Was the Don King card, wasn't it?
Yep.
Aye. Anyway, so that's what it is. You know, Makabu's. I don't know what age he is now, man. To be fair, and his time was probably about 3-4 years ago when he's fighting like the Kudryashevs, and that team went to Russia. I think he had a couple of fights over there, and obviously had that massive knockout in the first fight against Machino. So he has got decent pedigree, but at this point, I just don't know, mate. Jack, on the other hand, as you say, he's not had really stiffest test. I mean, I think he's won all his fights basically by knockout at cruiserweight, possibly. It might be wrong, but somebody will be able to check that out. The classic guy who just doesn't do enough to win a fight. You know, there's a good chance, Matty, on the betting, if you're fucking so interested, is to bet on your fucking famous draw for this one, because it's the old saying, if it's not a draw, then Jack will lose narrowly on the scorecard. So this might be a chance to kind of claw back your year's losses for last year. But I don't know. Is this on the prediction list?
It isn't.
It isn't, right? Okay, I'm not going to go too deep on it then. I'll go with Makabu by split decision. I think something along those lines. I think he's a more powerful hitter. Definitely, possibly. Well, obviously he's a natural cruiserweight. He's spent his entire career there, I believe. Maybe a couple of flurries up to heavyweight, possibly. But Badu Jack, I've just never taken to the guy. Just his style, the way he fights, just never kind of warmed to it whatsoever. And as I say, he always seems to kind of get a draw for his performances. But you can mention super middleweight running against, like, winning against Groves, Booty. Was it one of the Darrells, I think, was in there as well, possibly. So he got a couple of good wins in his record. But up at cruiserweight at this point in his career, advised by Uncle Dan, it's just he's just nothing really that I kind of look forward to. But I'll probably watch his fight during the pod. And I'll have it streaming in the background. But I suspect maybe Makubu possibly will win it by split decision. But we'll just need to wait and see. But is this headlining, or is it Jake Paul, Tommy Fury is the one that's headlining this event?
Oh, Jake Paul, Tommy Fury's headlining. Come on, why would they put an actual meaningful box?
Yeah, I'm just asking. Like, I don't know, because you've actually got an actual world title fight against two legit boxers against a YouTuber and a guy who wants to be a fighter. So and Frank Warren's fucking going in big here. He's saying that Tommy Fury's gonna win by stoppage. Don't know what Frank's been smoking, but I agree with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I think, I suppose, for a few people who've been in around the gym with Fury, that the way I see it is that he has grown up as a fighter, as a boxer. Look, has he shown anything as a pro, and has he boxed anybody of note really as a pro? No, not really. But what he has done for years and growing up has done a lot of sparring. And he has got some actual. His fundamentals aren't horrendous either. He's not. He's not just turned over because he's Tyson Fury's brother or something like that. He has actually boxed. I think he had amateur fights, that sort of stuff. For Jake Paul, he has boxed nobody. Literally nobody. I mean, wasn't that Ali Gibb guy that was he not a basketball player or something like that, or another YouTuber? And is it that was Nate Robinson, the basketball player? And then Ben Askren, tubby MMA fighter, Tyron Woodley, close fight first time round. Then he banged out Woodley again, and then Anderson Silva, who actually, by the way, can box. But he's a fucking pensioner.
Cesar Chavez handily in his previous fight.
Fury's going to win though, to be honest with you, because I mean, who's the bigger star here? I don't know. Is it Paul? I don't know.
Paul is the bigger, but that is because of other things outside the ring as well, not from necessarily. And I actually think Paul is better than that I initially gave him credit for. He clearly trains properly and that sort of stuff. But this will be his first real test. I mean, I am shocked that Tommy Fury is over even money. I am gobsmacked. What is interesting is the draw is only 15-1. Now, that is low for a draw in boxing, really low. I might have a couple of quid on that just because it would reek of, fudged cards and see it that way. Is it a yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Double up. Yeah, with the Badu Jack fight, and double up 2 draws.
There's no price on the Badu Jack fight yet, but I agree with that. No, nothing yet. It's something that might come out towards the back end of the week.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'll be like, and it's what you're right as well. Look, you're never going to predict a draw, but there's some fights where you can see it happening, and this is potentially one of them. But no, I'll be. I'm actually quite looking forward to the Paul Fury fight. I mean, there's not been that much back and forth and stuff like that, and he's quite amusing, Jake Paul, in what he says. And what I will give to him as well is that when he has promoted shows and things like that, he has given opportunities to people. Like Amanda Serrano was obviously already a decent name, but like he has got behind Serrano and like, you know, really created opportunities for her, kept her active, that sort of stuff. I kind of applaud that. You know, his business IQ and his sense. He knows what he's doing, and the fact that, you know, he is Jake Paul has probably earned more money in boxing than, I would say, probably 50-60% of fighters, and ultimately, you know, he's an absolute
far
nomad.
more than that. He's earned
Yeah,
more in
probably more.
boxing than 90% of the people. In
Yeah, I was
fucking
going to say,
boxing.
yeah, I don't actually know how big his paydays are, to be honest. But, you know, like for example, you know, Paul will be getting, you know, he'll be what they'll be on 6 figures each. You know, there's some guys who'll never earn 6 figures in one fight. You know, that sort of stuff. So yeah, but no, I think Tommy Fury beats him. I actually think he stops him as well. Big difference is it's 10 rounds. Paul's never done. I think he's done 8. Was it 6 or 8? Has done his most. Was that in the Woodley first fight?
8,
and again,
he's done 8. Yeah, he went 8 with Silva too.
Yeah, and I also fear for Tommy Fury as well that if he does lose, of what John Fury will do to him. I think he'd be one of the most disgusted people. He'd probably disown his own son for that, for losing to basically what they've always said, a YouTuber. But no, I think there's value in Tommy Fury. I think he stops him. Just trying to find the price now to see if it's out. But I am actually quite looking forward to it, and it will be on when we're live next Sunday. So yeah, it'd be good to. It'll certainly be. I'll be having it. I'll be watching via the Magic Stick.
Rob, you're back on us here. I'm leaning Jake Paul on this one. Just, you know, I get the idea that Fury has been around sparring, doing a lot of sparring. He's been around boxing, etc. But I just think Jake Paul takes boxing far more seriously than Tommy Fury does, and that's why I lean Jake Paul. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'd actually agree with that. Like, from what I've seen of the both of them, and I have to just judge both of them on their merits of what I've seen now. I realize that Jake Paul hasn't fought a professional fighter, but the professional fighters that Tommy Fury has fought weren't any great shakes. Put it that way. It's not like he's even looked good for beating them. I think you're right in terms of what they do outside the ring. It's quite obvious that Fury hasn't really been living the life of a fighter. I think there's tons of self-doubt here with Tommy Fury. The constant pullouts of the fights, they're not turning up to the press conference, the accepting fights on, calling outs for no money, and just like constantly trying to save face with these call-out videos. I really think he's fearful of losing to Jake Paul. And from what I could see out of the two of them, I think Jake Paul's fundamentals are better than Tommy Fury's, to be honest with you. And I think he carries more danger in the fight in terms of power. Now, obviously, like, he's knocked out Tyron Woodley, but Tyron Woodley was a seasoned MMA guy. Ben Askren is a wrestler, all right, and a fat, out of shape one as well. But that other basketball player, he flatlines people when he catches him, and he does seem to have some kind of power. The two of them have terrible technique.
Rob, I think that if you look at it, like the most potent single weapon in this entire fight is Jake Paul's right hand.
Yeah, but I think it'll be a horrible fight on the eye, but I do think Paul will find him. And I just don't think that Tommy Fury is a fighter. That's my gut instinct on it. So I'm gonna lean on the side of Jake Paul stoppage.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is going to be one of our predictions, and we'll get to it after we close it out with our previews coming up next. Steve, you were like me, a little bit late onto the Jake Paul train, but we just kind of a little bit of respect has grown for him. And I think it's because he treats the sport of boxing with respect. You got all these YouTubers making a joke out of it. And it might have seemed that way with Paul coming up, but with what he's done as a promoter and the dedication he gives, he seems to have great respect for the sport. And I'll tell you what, as boxing is struggling, I'm pulling for Jake Paul to keep up what he's doing, because I think he's building an audience back into the sport who might normally not ever take a glance at what's going on. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm not going to labour the point too much because I've spoken about this before, but he seems like he's interested in boxing, and he's in boxing because he wants to be. Fury never gives me the impression that he wants to be in boxing. He's off doing all these other things. He can clearly fight a little bit, but he's from a fighting family. He's kind of pushed into the thing. Whereas Paul, I have grown respect for him. At first, I thought he was an absolute joke. He clearly trains hard behind the scenes. he's fought fighters, but never any real boxers. But as Rob said, and I've made the point myself before, what kind of opposition has Fury been fighting? I know he has a license and he's been in against technically actual boxers, but of what kind of level? At this daft level, this carnival circus kind of shite that we're watching between that Jake Paul's involved in, he's been training hard, he's been taking it seriously, he can bang. I think all the projections of him going on to fight the likes of Badu Jack and Makabu and all this is fanciful. You get seriously found out at that level. But at this kind of Tommy Fury circus level, I think he's decent. I think both of them are going to be knackered after about 4 rounds, and it's going to become really sluggish, and they're going to be wailing away absolutely bollocks, blowing out their holes. But I think Paul's going to have enough to beat him, and I hope Paul does win the fight as well. I think it'd be better for boxing if he does. I don't rate Fury absolutely whatsoever. I think he's terrible. I don't rate either of them, but I think Paul is going to knock him out, and I think that would be better for boxing if he did.
All right. Andy, rate these 3 fighters based on their ceiling. Tyson Fury, Huey Fury, and this other Fury, Tommy Fury.
Wait, what about Phil Fury?
Well, let's go for. Let's go for
Phil Fury.
Give me Feel the Fury. His nickname should just be the Phil the Fury. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm being dumb here, but this is the kind of question that Steve Bunce would respond to. We're not being after-timers here, are we? Because the careers are fucking played out, basically, haven't they? Tyson's number 1, without doubt. Huey is a state secret these days, isn't he? He isn't anywhere to be seen. And fucking, what's his name? Tommy, Steve says, I've literally, his entire career I've watched on Twitter. And that's it. I've got no inclination to watch a guy.
I've seen more video of him running his mouth than I've seen of him in a boxing ring.
I tell you what, man, I didn't spend much time on Instagram whatsoever on that, but it's just shit. This is how it goes on. I mean, they're talking. It's been going on and on. It's 2 years now, I think. And the fight's been made. He's pulled out of it for whatever reasons. And come on, man, fucking hell.
Do we know Tommy will even turn up? Will he get into Saudi Arabia?
Oh, they take anybody in Saudi Arabia, mate, for fuck's sake. Anybody. But I try to think of a positive, because I get accused of being too negative these days off Matty and that, so the positive, both guys are getting handsomely paid, I suppose, millions, but ultimately, I tell you the only thing we need to mention here, actually, see if Jake Paul wins, apparently he's going to get a top 15 rank with WBC. What if Tommy wins?
No, that's not true.
What's happening then? What's that about then?
Top 40.
Top 40? Right, okay.
Did you say top? Did you say top 50 or top 15, Andy?
15, I thought I seen somewhere.
Okay, good. Yeah, it was only 40. Yeah, so it's not as bad as you thought. And I don't think that's a bad place to be. Maybe Jake Paul is the 40th best cruiserweight in the world. I don't fucking know.
There's loads of fighters who are like 7-0, 8-0, 10-0, who'll be like ranked like 38, 40. It means naff all, really. You can't get any sort of shot off it. So had he been, had the winner of this then been inserted into the top 15, then yeah, that will be wrong. But top 40, like I couldn't even tell you who, like boxers 30 to 40 are. So it says it all, really.
They usually put out their entire thing. I'll have a quick look at that, actually, to find out who's the top.
Mm-hmm. But it's one of them,
number,
you can't get like a world title shot, or he can't, get a shot ahead of somebody else. That's from where, that will be wrong. But yeah, top 40, rank him in all 4. Like, who cares? It means absolutely nothing.
Right, here we are. So top 40, right? Okay, so they've only got the 40 fighters listed here, actually. So you'd be mixing around about the same kind of place as Linear Perez. I'll try to get some names here that you guys maybe know. Kungambayev for Kazakhstan, who's number 32. Jack Massey for the UK, 34.
Okay.
The Kosovan kid, Armand, how do you pronounce it? Begins with an X. I'm not going to attempt it.
Armand Tamzarian?
But yeah, no, begins with an X, mate.
That's a Simpson reference, by the way.
Alright, funny cunt. Roman Frez, I've seen him. He's German, 26, fucking hell. Tervel Pulev, number 24.
Okay.
Tommy McCarthy's number 20. Julio Cesar La Cruz, number 19. I think he's only had like 3-4 pro fights. Vidal checks number 18 for Poland.
Steve, who's the femboy on the screen?
That's Phil Fury, aka Intense.
He's got the best hair of the entire family, that's for sure.
AKA intense. But there was a few Furies who turned over. There was another guy called Young Fury who was absolutely terrible. He signed with Mick Hennessy when all the Furies were like turning over. He got a big signing bonus where he bought a new car, and then he got turned over by somebody who was like terrible as well. Yeah, he jacked it in after that, but he was awful. That
Phil
Young
signed
Fury.
with Hennessy as well, has he?
When did this guy box?
He boxed. I seen him box
it
Joe
was-
Hillaby in his final fight on Tyson's undercards. I think it was either Rogan or Johnson.
Oh,
he only had a
nice.
few fights.
I was going to say, so he boxed like it's fairly recent. It looks like a picture from like the 70s, that something like that, doesn't it? But yeah,
like one of the famous five, Donny. You're just waiting for Timmy the dog to jump up in the fucking background there.
There's one more, mate. There's one more. They've just been told in the chat. Roman Fury.
Oh right, yeah. He's boxed on a couple of Steve Wood shows actually. Yeah.
He fought Ryan Hibbert back last October, won on points. I think he's got a fight arranged next month against Ryan Lebron.
0-5.
0-5, aye.
Yeah.
With a name like Italian Anger, you'd have a lot more, hope for him. But here we are. So there you go. And we'll touch on that again for our predictions. But let's hop over to a card that Andy's been looking forward to. He's been so depressed, but he's been looking forward to this one. At the bottom of it, we're going to have Alves Rodriguez against Joseph Adorno, then going up Jamal James versus Alberto Palmetta. But the meat of the meal that evening, Subriel Matias versus Jeremias Ponce. Yes, Andy. For a main course, this is steak. We ain't getting no chicken. It ain't no vegetarian special. This should be a banger's delight in all estimations if it goes as planned. What are you thinking? I know that you were excited for this one the second it came up.
I kind of forgot actually it was actually happening so soon in the year actually until you mentioned it to me today, to be fair. But this should be fight of the weekend, hopefully fight of the weekend. The thing is, form guide coming in, both guys haven't really been as active as such, and not really been active at a high level. Ozzy, do you know, is Pons still signed with Uncle Frank?
I think so, yeah.
This one's interesting if he's maybe got an input in this fight, because obviously I think Matias, am I right in saying he's an ESPN fighter, so Uncle Bob?
I'm pretty sure that Francis Warren manages him or something like that.
Right.
Did this not go to purse bids, this fight? So there must have been some involvement.
It's one of Taylor's belts, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's the IBF.
Yeah, aye, so it's a vacant one. So
yeah,
I think you're thinking, Steve, is it no? Maybe I forget which one of them was number one, but I think it was going to push bid with Taylor till Taylor then vacated the belt.
Oh, might have been.
But this is form guide activity levels not great. You have got the question mark over Matias as well about his heart back to it, but obviously the Dadjev incident back in 2019 has had an L after that, and we kind of maybe question it, maybe his heart or maybe his head just wasn't really fully back in the game. But anyway, he's come back with 3 wins. Not against great opposition, but he's got himself in a mandatory slot now. Ponce, obviously, we remember in the UK, I'm knocking out Lewis Ritson late. But he's been fighting on some of these Universal cards out in Germany, maybe even one of the Ferret Arslan cards as well, kind of like 8 6-rounders. No great opposition again, so he's not really kind of been in a fight as such since maybe 2020, 2021 possibly, since the kind of maybe even the Ritson fight possibly. So it's just, to me, it's anyone's fight. I'm favouring Ponce actually, to be fair, on absolutely nothing, just purely based on what I've seen off him.
He's a wide underdog. He's better than 3-1. Yeah.
Well, he's probably the B side of this fight possibly as well, isn't it? I would say at least. I'm going to stick. I'm going to say Ponce. I'm going to say
you don't have to give everything up. Remember, because we got our predictions coming up. But Ponce is enough of a surprise, and I think that's unexpected itself. But
I think so. The thing is, he surprised us. He surprised us all. I think Ozzy would agree with me. I think he surprised us all when he came to the UK. Raised a few eyebrows to how he done it. I think.
Sure.
The thing is, he just hasn't followed it up. He did, and he hasn't followed it up, though. This is why. But then Matthias, as I say, is the situation with Dadjev and the subsequent fights afterwards, he's had an L since then as well.
Which he was able to avenge.
True.
In brutal fashion.
I kind of mind the rematch, to be fair, actually.
Yeah, he's on great form. He beat the shit out of him in the rematch.
Did he?
Rough fight. It like I said, and like I see where you're going with Ponce on that, and I think an even further decision that might go out of the way is Oz. I'm kind of stuck between two things right now, and I'm oddly thinking Jeremias Ponce by decision is kind of my lean right now, and I know people aren't thinking this is a distance fight, but these ones surprise you sometimes.
I'm going to pick Jeremias Ponce as well, actually. I have not seen loads of each, but from what I have seen, Ponce, in terms of activity, he's been slightly a bit more active in terms of the last time they boxed. I think he's got power. He can clearly, it clearly carries quite late as well. I mean, Lewis Ritson isn't what I think what a lot of people thought he was. But still, though, it was quite impressive in the way he did that. The issue is his prep's been dire. He's just had a couple of 8-rounders, against not really anybody of note. But yeah, I think there's value in him. I'll be surprised if he does get him out of there. I think the way I see it is that Matthias might get dropped, but he'll be able to survive, and I think he'll lose a close decision. But it's a good fight. I'm finally glad that these belts are being contested for now after, what Taylor did and had to vacate them. It's taken a long time, and it's rare for the IBF to allow this to happen. So the fact that, they're back on track and it's going to be defended, it's going to be good. But yeah, again, I'm siding with Jeremias Ponce as well. So I think might be 3 of us from the way it happens.
Yeah, and sometimes I worry, Oz, is that for you and I, when we're looking at it, and this is kind of a 50-50 fight in the eyes of a lot of fight fans, is sometimes that we're looking at the odds and maybe we're just leaning towards the value in our heads.
Yeah, you're right there. And from a prediction perspective, I kind of need to sometimes stop doing that because, prediction doesn't pay, you don't get a price on it. You just ultimately just pick the winner. But in this instance, I do think Ponce has got a legit shout in this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, man, it seems so. Yeah, we're generally going bucking the odds a little bit on this one. Where are you leaning?
You lot buck away. I'm going for Matthias by stoppage. I think Ponce is a good fighter, and I admire his body of work. But his win over Lewis Ritson, he came out the blue in that one. It's Lewis Ritson, very limited guy at a certain level, and we know he can punch at domestic level. Ponce was outstanding that night. I thought he was very, very good. He was sharp, edgy, really nasty body shots. Obviously, Steve Gray tried to get Ritson a good beat in there, but I was very, very impressed by Ponce. Both guys like to let their hands go. I know Ponce had visa issues before, couldn't get into the country. He's in this time. Everything seems fine. I think Matthias is a bit of a demolisher, a bit of a destroyer. I'm looking at Ponce's form. Obviously, he got the Ritson. Also, I was looking at one of his previous fights. He was out in Germany, so obviously you have to put a disclaimer up because it's tough to get a decision. He won a majority over Rico Muller, very wide on 2 of the cards. Marcus McDonald somehow contrived to give it a draw. Didn't see that fight, so I can't comment on it. But Muller got knocked out by Anthony Fowler, and Ponce was beating him on points there. I think apart from the Ritson one and the fact that he's been inactive, and when he has fought, he's fought against really low level of opposition. I'm going with what I know here. And I know that Matthias is an absolute banger. He's on a really good run of form. He had the Dadashev incident, as Andy alluded to. The Hovhannisyan loss, he got dropped. He wasn't himself. It was a couple of fights after Dadashev, probably playing on his mind. Very close fight. You're talking a point either way to get Hovhannisyan that win. He came back, beat Malik Hawkins by retirement, 18-0. Beat Jukumbayev, who's a real banger, by stoppage as well, 18-0. Got the win over him. Then he got the revenge win over Hovhannisyan in his last one, beat the shit out of him before the retirement.
I forgot about an onion.
I think he's on a great run. I think he's gonna be toe to toe. He could get dropped, Matthias. He's not chinny, but he's been dropped in the past, as I mentioned, by Hovhannisyan. I think Jerk and Boyev had him going at one point as well. He can be hurt, and Ponce can definitely dig. but I think it's going to be a firefight. Both guys are going to let their hands go, and late on in the fight, I think Matthias is going to catch up with him and stop Ponce.
All right. Interesting. Rob, I have this weird hunch that this is going to be a good fight, but I don't think it's going to be quite the sizzling banger that others are thinking. What are you setting yourself up for on Saturday?
I think it will catch fire because I think Ponce comes to fight. So Steve is after making a very convincing argument there for the stoppage. And yeah, I don't think I could go against him. I'm going to go with the favourite. I'm going to go with Matthias by stoppage as well. We have to go over under, but that's where we're at the moment.
Can he go over under for this fight, mate? I think it's a good 50-50. Both no really got much form guy coming in. It's just basically kind of like based on what we've seen. And
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? On the night,
we've already differed on it. It's not going to be
well, the fact you three have gone with Ponce means there's no over needed.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just talking shit. I don't even know what the fuck this fucking thing is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't know what it is.
You
don't know what it is. Well, you don't know what it is, yet you're somehow 1 point in the lead. Oz sneaking up 1 point behind you.
What does that say about the rest of us?
So, yeah.
It says I shouldn't pick against Nery just because he's a drug cheat. That's what it says.
Yeah, well, yeah, you should go for the drug cheats. That's right. That's where we fucked up, Rob. So, all right. So, all right. I got my magic freaking pieces of paper out. First one up, Rob.
Matthias stoppage.
Matthias stoppage. All right. All right. And then we have Mr. Wellington.
Yeah, Matthias stoppage.
All right. And then Oz.
Ponce decision.
Ponce decision.
I've been thinking back and forward to decision.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm next. I'm going the Ponce decision too. And because I think that's going to surprise people.
Make it
three of those? All right.
That would be a massive win for Ponce if he beats Matthias on decision and all.
Well, I think going the distance is a shock in itself too. On that,
I'd be surprised if it goes the distance.
I'm thinking mentality as well, mate. You know, on the back end of it, you know, Matthias after everything, you know, subdued as you mentioned in that defeat afterwards.
But he smashed the shit out of 3 really good fighters since then.
It's like maybe he found his mojo again. But
I think he's over it.
Possibly, aye. But then Ponce hasn't got that issue, you know, mental, you know, mentality wise, and it's a good one.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a very, very good fight. And it's the fact there's debate not only between if they'll go the distance, but who will win. You know, I almost think I'm going to try to see what the over-under is. I might just take the over in general on it because I think you're going to have a fair bit of gap on that between where it is in the end of the fight. All right. And then we have Paul versus Fury. Oh, God, I got to go first. I'm going Jake Paul by stoppage. And then we have Andy.
I actually had hoped I'd be last on this one so I can get the guys' take on it because I've not really got much opinion of both guys, but I'll say Jake Paul decision.
Paul decision. All right, Steve.
Yeah, I'm like Andy on this. I'm really back and forward. I think Paul's going to win, but I'm not sure by stoppage. I honestly do think the two of them are going to be blowing out their arses after about 5 rounds, and then Paul's going to get a sloppy decision. But yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to go for decision as well.
All right. What was that? Then we got Rob.
Jake Paul KO, baby. Sensational KO.
All by stoppage. All right. It would be funny. God, you just wonder how the Fury family would react if he sparked old Tommy. And Oz, round us out, senor.
Fury stoppage.
Ooh. All right. So interesting. We got the little bit of everything on that one. It's an interesting week. Rob and Oz tied at the top. Steve's kind of in the middle there. Andy, you're in the basement with me, homie. But, you know, at least there's good humor down here in the basement. We know how to have a laugh. But yeah, so that's what we got for this week. Remember that. That's what we got for this week. Remember, we got the Wednesday Pro Box card as well. I don't know if there's going to be TV for it. Guillermo Rigondeaux is going to be in action in Florida on Friday night. But we do have Saturday.
You actually won't see these days, eh?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have any domestic stuff going on Saturday.
Well, there's a good British title fight, isn't there, between two former friends of the pod, Liam Dillon and Alex Dilmagani. That's Lee Eaton. Let's go management, or management, as it says on BoxRec. That's a decent slap on Friday night.
Might be on YouTube, so Tim Boxale might be the guy to ask about that.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, might be able to get something there. But otherwise, going to be staying up late or getting up early and watching some of that action. And then you'll have stuff following it up from Saudi Arabia around the same time as the podcast. Pick one. Pick the other, pick both. It's all up to you. Isn't it amazing to live in such a world of technology? I can hardly contain myself at times. Steve, was there something you wanted to say?
No.
Oh, okay. You're on mute. I was expecting something like.
I thought you were going to pass over to Bellew.
I'm going to. Yeah, you're really on it. Far more on it than
in your own time, Maddie.
I tell you. When is it my time, Rob? When is it my time?
In your own world, Matty.
Jesus Christ. No one could live there but me. All right. Well, it's been a good week. We got another great fight in the bag. I think Andy's even having to come around to 2022 being a solid year for boxing. But from 2022 sucked. So 2023, great year for boxing. And I'll hand it over to Steve for the Bellew of the Week.
Thank you very much, Matty. No, I wasn't sure what to play us in with, but then earlier on, the esteemed Rapping Rob Kelly was alerting us to some evidence-based research.
I told you, never again. All you suckers that read the Rank magazine.
Did you see anything, Rob? No UFOs for our audio listeners?
No, nothing tonight. But obviously, I was telling the truth, wasn't I? When I was live on the pod, seeing UFOs over Wexford, it's a thing now. Like, you know what I mean? It's in the papers. Obviously, it happened. Like, so.
Yeah.
If they've come over and escorted, I suspect they're just fucking trying to bring everybody back home. Anyway.
I love the conspiracy crowd. Everything in the papers is fake unless it's something I've been saying for years. And then it's got to be true.
Exactly. Glad you're catching on
here. Well, on Friday night, there was no better person to hand over to on UFO History Month than Richard himself.
A fake alien invasion.
I think we might as well play
Project Bluebeam.
Tell you what, that's some impression. Let's have a listen now, shall we, to our intro to Bellew of the Week for episode 511.
Today, I am delighted to be joined by former lightweight world champion Anthony Crolla. How are you?
Before we start, I would like to point out why I have made yet another Madeleine McCann film. It is to expose the mainstream media and show to the widest possible audience that their purpose is not to find out facts, investigate stories, then truthfully report them. The mainstream media are used on a daily basis across all publications by an elite few for a range of nefarious purposes. Mainstream media publications are no more than information prostitutes who serve those with enough money or power to help them with their disgusting agendas.
Woo! Exactly.
The paranoia, man. I need to go on some of that smoke. On that talk, baby.
Can't argue $1 million. Can't argue with this either. Tim Boxeo, Andy, you mentioned it earlier. Here's a couple of boys weighing in during the week on JB.
Oh, I sent that in to you, didn't I? Fucking size that. Where's Aussie, man? He needs to fucking cast an opinion on Hermano on the left here. State of fucking that fat bastard.
Looking good, the boys there.
Look at the guy on the right, by the way. Look at his belly buttons have been sawn in half in the middle.
It's a wee pregnancy, yeah. Easy. Wee belly there on the fella. I'm not sure who the boys are, but good luck to them out in Mexico over the weekend. Here we are. This is Mauricio Suleiman tweeting. It is unbelievable. My brother Pepe and I were talking about our dear friends in the boxing community of Ukraine, and look, The M&Ms that popped out. Hashtag destiny.
What a lying bastard. I tell you what, see if he was a lawyer, I bet he would chase every fucking ambulance gone, by the way, the dirty fucking rat.
Didn't happen of the year. Bellew of the Week got nominated as well for that one. A Fight Zone TV last week. Announcement. It is with deep regret we have to announce the removal of Dave Allen from Saturday's card. We were informed in the final hours, even with British Boxing Board of Control clearance, the Italian Boxing Board of Control decided against approving Dave's opponent for the bout. So the comeback was on and off.
Allegedly, but apparently ticket sales were pretty poor.
Well, maybe they'll be better, Andy, when he actually does come back. The return of the White Rhino. Things move fast in this game. He's fighting in the Hilton Hotel, Malta, on the 25th of February. They've got him a fight straight away.
Oh, under Bieber, Steve?
I imagine so, yes.
I need to get on with my mate Giancarlo, see how he's getting on. Maybe I'll tell you, that's what we could do, mate. If fancy we trip to Malta, we do the podcast from ringside, possibly do a live event.
If Rio wants to pay us to go over, I'll support Bieber.
Get the old cock rock, fucking locked and ready to rock, baby. That's what I'm talking about, And the Maltese.
Maltese Falcons.
That's what I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying?
Well, good luck to Dave Allen out in Malta. Rick Glazer tweeted out, if I died, how many of you would be happy? Or would you even care? Please identify yourselves accordingly.
20 years ago, I might have said something. He's an annoying cunt, by the way, isn't he?
I love it when people reference him and stuff and they say, well, Rick Glazer said such and such did the amount of pay-per-views. And anything that starts, Andy, with Rick Glazer said is Bellew of the Week material.
Anybody starts a conversation with say, oh, by the way, Rick Glazer said needs to be sectioned immediately, needs to be fucking phoned up, put on a register, hard drive taken in for fucking at least some sort of downloading, and all laptops, all computers investigated.
See what you're saying about doing the pod from Malta during the week there, my friend, the rapper Bleak, he rang me up and said, do I want to come on a boys' trip to Colombia? And I said, my missus would blow up the plane like fucking Escobar with the Avianca fucking flight if she thought I was going to fucking Colombia with the boys. You talking to me? What? I want to live, aren't they?
You'd get fed to Escobar's hippos.
Okay, hell, man.
Your missus be like John Malkovich and Con Air, man.
Might as well be the same. First question is, what the fuck are you going to Colombia for?
That's what I said. What do I need to go to Colombia for when I live in fucking Medellin anyway? Fuck the hell.
Well, if anyone wants to pay for us to go out to Malta to record a podcast, I'll be happy to do so. Get in touch if you want. Yeah, absolutely.
I tell you, we could sell tickets for it as well. Get the guys out, have a party. Maybe even hire a yacht, get out on the fucking blue ocean, have some fucking, you know what I'm saying? Ladies, horizontal refreshment.
I hope you go on a boat out in the Mediterranean and you get hijacked by North Africans.
With Ethiopians and that, come out on their skiffs. I'm the captain
sold into sexual slavery.
Let's hope so.
We'll get invaded like the Russians do.
That's a fine thing.
Matty, Team Paul, as if it wasn't bringing boxing into disrepute anymore, fighting Tommy Fury this weekend. He has a master healer in his camp. Never mind the Whisperer, Ben Davidson, or Sugar Hill, or any of these boys. Ocean Interbeing, Matty, is on Team Paul. Master healer in the corner.
And why didn't you tell me about this before we made our predictions?
You mean Virtual Hunter there?
I don't trust anyone who changes their name to fucking Ocean or Rainbow or any of that bullshit. Or if your parents named that, you're probably raised by idiots. I have no trust in you.
What about Cam F. Awesome, though? Legally changed his name.
What about Billy Olsen? Well, it really hurts what I do. Ain't a break in my heart. What can I do?
Do you know what pedophile Billy Ocean says, Rob? Get out of my dreams. Get into my van.
Fucking hell, man.
Fucking madness.
Jesus Christ.
He usually tells those ones when we're off the air.
I know.
The setup wouldn't have been there off the
air. Oh, dear. Black History Month is celebrated in the month of February. No sign of Bunsey. In the sport, this history is celebrated daily by the impact African-American culture has had. I'm not sure if Photoshop
He's a black spider. I told you guys.
I tell you what, he's the blackest white man I know. He's the same skin colour as me. I ain't even white. I'm pale blue. It takes me a week or something to get white, man. Fuck's sake.
Oh, that's some bad
big fan of Caleb Plant me.
Rob's got the same skin as him, man.
Man in Ireland.
Skin.
We haven't heard much from Conor Benn lately, but he's got a tattoo. Redemption, Andy, across the arm there. Redemption.
Best of luck to the kid. He's got a lot of redeeming to do. I can guarantee you that. Whether it'll be in the UK ring, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be happening anytime soon. So best of luck to them. Might have to be DAZN Mexico, DAZN Italy, DAZN Australia, possibly. In fact, he's got who's out in Australia? As you know, he's Dan. That's where he should be fighting.
Yeah.
Should fight you in Australia, Connor. That's where the money's to be made, mate. Maybe call out Sims. Yeah. Anthony Mandini or Father Dave, as Rob just alluded to there. You know, that's a fucking pay-per-view event.
Eddie promoting Father Dave. I could see it on there.
Oh man, a heavy-duty Christian against a Catholic priest. Can you imagine it? It'll be like the fucking Knights Templars all over again.
Talking of delving into the world of sin, there he is, David Hay. Looking well,
pound for pound, baby, pound for pound. Look at him.
Look at him, and the palm trees in the background and everything. The absolute bollocks. Look at him.
All he needs there is a fucking Marrakesh joint and a fucking nice Remy Martin or a fucking nice whiskey.
Poor Una, the Saturdays. He's gone. He edged her off the hammock. He couldn't even be bothered with her for this photograph. He's just like, fucking
so the one in the middle was a new one, isn't she?
You toss him, leave him. Hay comes up to retrieve him.
The haymaker. What a fucking guy, man.
Oh, man.
Unbelievable.
See,
as good as Roy Jones is, right? I don't give a shit anymore.
He is without. If this is all legit, he's 100% without doubt taking all types of things to keep up with that, and I guarantee, I bet he's even getting IV rehydrations just so he can keep going at that type of stuff, man.
I wouldn't give a fuck. I'd let him inject me like Mr. Burns in The Simpsons that time with fucking radioactive waste.
David Hay has fucked more women in an hour than Andy has fucked in his life.
Hey, you underestimate me, boy.
Well, here, it wouldn't be the Sunday pod without the Boxing Nutters Messenger group getting involved in the photoshops, and I believe it was Damo this week got stuck in on this one.
Right, deal this week.
Here we go.
Can't tell you. Is that a cougar in the middle there?
Anyone?
I tell you what, Eddie's done a bit of timber off himself there, hasn't he?
It's like an FX Twin video.
It's like bulimic there, Eddie.
Fucking hell.
That's fucking quaggy.
It's got to be as one-sided as a David Hay trouble.
Oh my gosh.
Fucking, that is absolutely tremendous. Shout
out to the boys. Talking of Eddie, he's
a reverse gang, if you like. Anyway.
Oh dear.
Hey, all I'm saying is he still technically has one hand free. There's room for another.
Punching it out.
Big right hand. Anyway, Eddie's been chatting. He says, Eddie Hearn on Saudi Arabia not staging the Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk fight. The fight's not happening in Saudi Arabia, says Eddie, because Anthony Joshua's not in it. The fight's not big enough for the money Tyson Fury wants because it doesn't involve Anthony Joshua. There you go. Eddie talking to AFL London during the week. Now, what have we got here? Mark Gallagher, belly of the week to Carl Froch, going into the changing room.
You won't see this.
And trying to tell him to take the visit. Did you see that?
I've seen it.
He's enjoying life, isn't he, with his new nose, Froch?
He has it. Well, it's in everywhere. The fucker, he was in the dressing room. Well, I'm not saying I'm Sugar Ray. Fucking hell, man. It's up to you. And he's dying for Leigh Wood to get beat as well. He kept on saying, don't forget, I want Leigh Wood to win. I really want him to win. Yeah, you do.
He mentioned Leonard for the Booty fight. I was there for that fight, actually. And fucking Leonard actually did a ring walk before fucking Booty and Froch. It was incredible, man.
I remember that Leonard being backstage and the girl from Sky interviewing him. He's one of the most
Where's
awkward
Bean these
interviews you've
days?
ever seen.
Where is he? Poor
I don't
cunt.
know.
What is he
Don't
been?
know. But yeah, that Foch thing was funny as hell. Isaac Warrior Low was outspoken. He said, still no sign of Jordan Gill and Dave Caldwell wanted to make this fight. I'm going to take it as you don't want to use. Don't want to talk about it. I'll try. I'm doing business, so we all know who's put the arse of the edge. Always will be a shit out. And Dave Caldwell says, stop chatting shit. I told you to your face he's fighting about in April in his first fight at Super Featherweight. We can do it afterwards. Probably don't remember as you were pissed at the time, shouting in my face like a lunatic. And Isaac said, Dave, no one was shouting in your face. I was just giving you the facts and you agreed. I never seen a little shit himself as much in my life as you did. God, H help, Gordon, when I get in the ring with him and so use Cart 26 my ass.
See his first tweet, he was doing well. I was like, nah, somebody else has tweeted this out for him. And then he just went,
one beer later.
And one beer. Like one line later, man. It just fucking blew his mind haywire. Look at him.
Oh, he's class, isn't he?
Fucking brilliant, man. I tell you what, did you ever play that Paris Fury clip with the fucking Scrabble?
No, I don't think we ever played it. I couldn't get it. It wouldn't cut.
Mate, I'm telling you, the way she delivered it was absolutely comedy gold, man. It was like straight-faced, serious as fuck to you. It's like she fucking knows. She knows what she's doing because she's going to read all the fucking chaos. So he gets tweeted out. He must get ribbed like fuck for it as well. Just take his phone off him. Or better still, get one of those Stephen Hawking type devices.
Dave, no one was shouting in your face.
F-26.
Johnny 5.
We'd shut down that. Anyway, moving on. Here's one for you, Matty. Eddie Hearn's biggest fan. Eddie Hearn signed a pillow with his face all over it for a super fan. Would you get one of them, Matt?
What the fuck's what's his name there? What's his man, that Man U player?
Phil Jones, isn't it?
Phil Jones, man. Where the fuck's he been?
I just couldn't see myself with one of those, but at least now you know how Sky Nicholson feels every night.
I was wondering, I was thinking that looks like a good Valentine's gift for somebody who you might be able to give it to. I don't know who that could be.
Oh, no.
Yeah, back down in Australia, Andy. Heavyweight Hayden H-Bomb Wright, 4-16, attacks the body to force a TKO 1 stoppage victory over debutant Sasha Bobachovic in Carrara, Australia. There he is. Tell you what, I thought he was retiring H-Bomb whenever he narrowly missed the weight by 52 pounds. I thought that was
But he's bounced back literally.
Mate, he's refocused, he's rededicated himself to the sport that he loves, and he's coming back. All you bums at heavyweight better be on fucking notice. You're all getting it. Joe Joyce, Tyson Fury, Usyk, Joshua, Franklin, Wilder.
All getting it. Off
The guy who ripped me off for my oil change, everyone's going to get it.
Yeah.
No shit, Bababovic.
He's on the John Fisher diet. Brian King nominated this one for Chris Glover. He's out in America making things happen. He says, 5 years today, I found my ex was cheating on me. I got sacked from my job. My rabbit died. Was gutted about the rabbit. The other two can fuck off. 5 years on, I have everything I ever wanted and couldn't be happier. So shout out to Chris Glover. He's doing well.
He couldn't be happier, man, but his team's on the brink of relegation. What the fuck?
He looks happy, to be fair, Andy.
Well, we're not. He fucking shouldn't be.
The other two can fuck off. It's so great.
He's doing bits, his Glover. Michael
His
Hunter.
ex was cheating. His ex was cheating on him. What's
the rabbit?
What's he
like,
been doing?
What are you rubbing against your coos? Oh my god, not nibbles.
What's he been doing that the bit on the side has come in to keep her in action if he can't do the action? What's been going on?
Oof.
Talking of action, Michael Hunter says, Eddie said Lara hook was a shot from heaven. Lol, bruh. That was a left hook from Mexico. Going in and
or hell.
It came to the depths of hell, by the way. Fuck you, man. Jesus Christ.
And Dale Anthony Cook down in our Nutters group. Bellew just said that fight was a blueprint on how to beat Lara. Bellew the week, says Dale. Yeah, they always do that, don't they, Andy? They'll be
Did
like,
that,
it's like
Andy Lee.
the fake victory, isn't it? Like, oh, that's the blueprint.
Exposed them.
I don't know. For about 6 rounds, you fucking proved that straight right hand is a real fucking bastard for Lara.
Yeah, but so did Raleigh do that to Tank. Look what happened. Like,
I want to talk to Rob off air about something, but Andy Lee said something as well, roughly about the same thing. He's out of gas or whatever it was, around about the 6th or 7th round. I just thought the commentary wasn't really kind of calling it as much as how it was kind of going there last night, to be fair.
When you got Frotch on the fucking, you know what I mean? You're never getting the fucking, Frotch just rambles, don't he? Like, he very rarely calls the action.
Frotch has no interest in boxing. Like, he clearly doesn't care. Fair play
He's
to
in
him.
for a payday.
Costello sounds like he's shouting over the garden fence to get someone's attention all through the fight.
Costello tries to make it look like the fucking sound like every fight is a fight of the century, you know?
No, I don't know.
He's wasted in that role. I'm telling you, it was good to start with, but he is the voice of the big fights on the radio at 2 a.m. I mean, his call, the Joshua Ruiz fight in New York was tremendous because it was just fucking carnage, man. Joshua's getting lit up like a Christmas tree. He's getting bounced over the ring like a bounce check, and he is having to call the fucking fight. You've got Bunsey in the corner losing his shit. You've got David Hay behind him losing his shit, and he's trying to, basically articulate what's going on here. It was being impossible because what was happening was just fucking next level carnage. It was one of the biggest upsets of that year, actually, and he managed to call it perfectly. But for TV, it just hasn't worked for me.
See, I never listened to him on the radio, so I don't have that background, and I do appreciate a lot of people have that kind of legacy with him, but I can only take it at face value, and like I said, he always sounds to me like he's yelling at somebody over the street or something. It's a strange style, like if his mic's not loud enough. I'm not sure. Ian Dark, Thomas Newman, he wants to do football now, Dark. He's got no interest in coming back to boxing, but he was the business, was Darky. In the footsteps of Reg Gutteridge. Andy, you sent me one. I'll tell you what, I'm raging. My illegal software won't cut these things anymore. So I'm having to put the photograph up, unfortunately, the snippet. What's going on here? What's AB up to?
So basically, you know how AB's money was getting held by Uncle Al?
Yes.
So the money's starting to dry up. So you maybe get like $2,000 one month and then maybe £1,800 the following month, and then gradually it would drip down to like 1,000 to 500 to fucking 250. And you're like, whoa, where the fuck's my money, bitch? What the fuck's going on here? So AB, desperate. He's fucking out there, mate. It's not going to end well. I'm telling you, my prophecy is going to come to the end.
What gives you that impression, Andy? It's not going to end well.
Don't come at me. Don't come at me for the lottery numbers, because this has been the biggest prophecy for like the last decade. I've been calling for this is going to be happening, and it's unfolding right now in front of us, by the way. But I think Wilder's come out as well, saying he's still with the PBC. He's been talking about folk not getting paid. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago on that as well. So all not good at PBC. And apparently as well, did you see Ranger Rollins? I don't know if Ranger Rollins or Rolling Pin on Twitter.
Yeah.
They're fucking making some claim. Oh, I think it's just a guess, really, but they're kind of claiming that maybe Top Rank are kind of for the door as well, possibly.
They keep saying that. They do the Sunday Puncher podcast. Real Rolling Pin is the host, Angelo, and Juice comes on the pod sometimes. Yeah, they keep saying that.
I don't know. I mean, and there's like obviously Lomachenko. He was at the fight there last night, the Lewis Nery fight. He was asked a question to about the Haney fight, sorry, and seems to be problems here as well. Isn't he getting made? I thought that fight would have been signed, sealed, and delivered by now, but it's not. I mean, how long is it since Haney beat Kambosos?
Can't even remember. Was it November? Was November?
Aye. Top
Rank's on Skid Row, man. Who would have thought it with a 94-year-old owner? His whole future ahead of him.
You would think even the way the fucking money they've made over the years, that they would still fucking be able to, I don't know, something's fucking well off there. But
94 and showing absolutely no sign of going anywhere, by the way, at 94, is he? Not one bit diminished. Like, he's shabber every time I see him. Fuck's sake.
That's why you got to keep smoking, Rob. You got to trust the Bob method.
Listen, you don't have to fucking tell me. We're talking like Bob Arum tonight, actually.
Edibles and 10 rounders. Right. It's the the secret of a long life. Okay, that's all the ones I've got. Have the boys got any here for 5-1-1 Belly of the Week? Andy, do you have anything to throw in?
Got a few, mate. We forgot to mention it during the Nery conversation, but when he had Hovhannisyan down, the 10th round actually finished 13 seconds earlier.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I thought that.
Did you feel? Well, I didn't see the clock because I actually watched it on a different stream, but it did get that feeling that was quite quick. But
the clock was on 22, and then all of a sudden the clock disappeared, and then the bell rang. Yeah, I saw that.
It rang at 13 seconds, so he got a wee bit of kind of dispensation there. Dan Raphael, actually, he was kind of going to town there last night with the stoppage. Leigh Wood. The same Ben Davison who had Tyson Fury basically asleep on the canvas in round 12 versus Wilder in the first fight and didn't throw in the towel. Fury was much more out of it than Wood was, and there was still a long time left in the 12th round boxing Lara Wood. And loads of guys have piled on there basically as well. One for Nery by basically saying he's no monster, he's a little monster. I'll take his mask, I'm assuming his face, right off. It's Lewis Nery for fighting Inoue. Obviously, the BLK Prime card being pulled for, I think it's 3 opponents now fell out with as a 30-day span or something like that as well. So one for that. You mentioned one there for about Broner for the 6 fights. One for Alex Arthur. I don't know if anybody caught this during the week, but there's a guy on Twitter called what's his fucking name? Hool, I think his name is. So he's responding to Alex Arthur, who put out this message by saying, "Listen, I'm not replying to the messages and DMs regarding Hovhannisyan. Even my sons think I am exaggerating when I talk about him. A fully fit, alcohol-free, mid-weight, comfy, prime Hovhannisyan is the greatest Scottish fighter I have seen. He is not human." He's actually said no human, right? So Hughes responded, "Brain damage from Michael Gomez fight continuing to real."
Jesus.
Right. So Alex Arthur then responds to that. I was fucking pissing myself, right? So, yeah, maybe so. Why don't you come to my gym and see for yourself how bad my TBI is? Traumatic brain injury. So fuck me, my head. Arthur is jacked. Fucking double jacked. Jack, Joe Rogan type jacked.
Is he?
Oh, he's fucking massive, man. 6-pack, fucking pecs, traps, neck. He's fucking massive, man.
He's that jacked. He's that jacked. He's going around saying, "Tommy Fury is a legitimate boxer, dude. You're out of your fucking mind. Tommy Fury's a boxer, man."
Alex Arthur can hardly turn his fucking neck these days. He's fucking that jacked.
I didn't realise that. I haven't seen him for years.
Oh, go to his Twitter account now, man. You'll see him. He's got a picture of him at the beach. He's fucking massive. You think about when he fought Gomez, he was just skinny fucking featherweight. He's fucking. He must be over 2 bills, man. He must be a heavyweight fucking size there. The fucking muscle he's stacked on him.
Oh yeah, flip me. I see him now. My God.
He's fucking massive.
Jesus, look at the size of him.
Isn't he? He's fucking shit jacked.
Oh well. He seems happy, that's the main thing.
But we need to see a bit of other testing, mate. Okay. But anyways, we wish him well. That's all I've got this week, mate.
Thank you, Andy. Lovely stuff as usual. Matthew, anything from you, please?
No, nothing this way. Andy kind of covered it. I think honestly, the curse of Farmer Bay continuing is probably it for me. That card entirely, I guess, but that fight has gone to all corners of the globe and all different options. It just hasn't happened. And the fact they keep pursuing it over and over again, they're just absolutely mad. So,
yep. Get it out to the city engineer's yard and garden. That's what I say. Rob, any from you, please?
Farmer Bay sounds like the fucking killer in I Know What You Did Last Summer or something, doesn't it?
Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I had one for Reakpor and Okoli had a bit of a scuffle at the premiere of Creed 3, didn't it? They were throwing hands. It was around it was Valentine's Day, wasn't it? Apparently, is there any truth to the rumor that Reakpor said to him, "Your ex, Miss Banks, left you because she said you were too romantic"? And then Okoli was like, what? And he was like, "Yeah, she said you wanted to hold her all the time." And then it all kicked off. I don't know if that's how it happened. Or So just them and the boys, Eddie and the fucking Robert Smith and the boys as well for the fucking carry. At this stage, like, it doesn't fucking matter who's to fall between a British boxing board and Eddie and Matchroom. Is he fucking guilty or not? Just fucking tell us, is he guilty or not? Like, yeah, that's it as well. So
lovely. That's all the ones we got from the lads thrown in. We'll do a quick recap and then we will make our.
Sorry, El Bronco for his ID boxing interview, and they were like, Josh Warrington is accused you of spitting on him. Is there any truth to that? And he's like, "Sí, claro."
Hey guys, Duran's done it, I suppose, in that as well in the past, but that's
it's worse than a punch, that, isn't it?
It's bad, man.
It's vile. It's disgusting. We've all seen fights, no doubt. We've all probably been spat on as well at one point, and we've all fucking reacted to it differently, but different in boxing. But there's people who just do it, and they're just complete absolute savages. And I think Lara's just one of the guys. I love the fact that he didn't try to deny it. He owned up to it. You know,
yes, of course. The translator's well, yes, of course.
He's smiling as well when he's fucking mentioning it. I'm like, yeah, I fucking done
And
that.
then
It's
like,
what you got? It's like, what you got to do about it? Like, you know, that's just basically what he's.
They're asking him like. They're asking him, and he obviously he's answering in Spanish, but he's like, "I want to retire, Josh Warrington." Fuck me, man. Just fucking. Yes, it's personal between me. I want to retire from boxing.
It's like he's been listening to Duran. It's like listen to him when Duran fucking knocked out Ray Lampkin. He says, I only sent him to hospital. He says, next time I send him to morgue.
Yeah, doesn't
count unless he goes to the morgue. Doesn't
not
count
actually sending fellas to the morgue we don't want, but we also threaten it at least.
Yeah, I know, but yes, I'm saying this is what these guys are all about. It's all El Mas Macho.
We need an El Bronco. Isn't it brilliant to have an El Bronco on the scene? It's fucking amazing. Like,
he's on this podcast. Look at him. There he's there.
There he is now. Yeah.
Hopefully, he'll do a Jorge Arce, Andy, and come to the ring in a horse on a horse. Sorry,
a white charger.
Yeah, be a new one.
It's all banter. It's all banter when the boys throw down. They're the first nomination we've got here. We've got Mauricio Suleiman with his did not happen Ukrainian Maltesers. We've got Dave Allen's fights off. Then it's back on again in Malta. Rick Glazer. Would you be happy if Rick died? Wouldn't care less myself, to be honest. Ocean Into Being's getting a nomination as well, the Master Healer. Black History Month there with old Caleb. Redemption for Connor. Redemption for Hay. Well, it was until this happened. Eddie talking about fights he has no involvement with. Evidence-based research. Frotch going into the changing rooms as well. Isak Warrior Low got a nomination. Eddie's Pillow. Putting people to sleep. H-Bomb Right. He's looking in good shape there. Chris Glover looking happy with his life. Michael Hunter. Dale Anthony Crook. One or the other. Nominated. Bellew as well. AB getting a nomination there. And Rob on the UFOs. Quite a nice little week there.
Chinese spy balloons, Rob.
Spy balloons.
Big John. Sorry, Big John took a late nomination. He was taking his legal team to Twitter this week when he announced he lost no weight this week. He was just having an even and out week. And he's not to be shamed for that because it happens to everyone. You have a couple of bad days and it catches up on you. So he said, so a couple of people were like, John, aren't you a fraud? Like, for fucking getting people to sign up to this diet and you're not even losing any weight. And he was like,
an even out week, by the way. What the fuck is that?
I don't know. Like, I don't think that's how it works somehow. But he said he was plateauing or something. And then he said he threatened the law basically on this guy on Twitter. It was like, my team are going to be in touch unless you get a full apology. He's like, I'm not apologizing, mate. Like, you're fucking getting people to sign up to this shit. And he's like, who's the team? Oh, he gave him some fucking unbelievable. He was like, yeah, who's your team? Fucking
Ronald McDonald.
Ronald McDonald and the Hamburglar. So Big John, I don't think is getting the fucking. He's not grasping the fucking idea behind these weight loss fucking programs that people sign up to online. You're supposed to fucking show yourself doing the exercise. All he ever shows is his cheat day. Like, that's all he shows.
And it doesn't
he's
matter.
Getting bigger every week.
It doesn't matter if they're low calorie options if you're eating a literal 2 pounds of food during a meal.
That's a good one, Rob, man. Suing someone for his own lack of discipline.
He's going to sue someone because he didn't lose fucking no pounds this week on fucking Instagram Monday.
The thing is, he clearly doesn't understand banter. He's providing us content. He's Chinese. Looks like he's echoed out his nut in some of them. He's drinking fucking pints of wine. Right? Next minute, some of the boys are getting pissed off by his antics, so they start giving him a bit of verbals for it. And what happens? He takes offence.
He's going to fucking send the law around.
So he goes to fucking diet.
I'm not convinced that he didn't just fucking plateau this week as well, by the way. He looked a little bit, tiny bit bigger this week than he did the week before. So, something tells
It's
me...
water weight, Rob. It's water weight.
He's plateauing. So it happens like that every couple of weeks, he said. So, we'll see tomorrow. Oz will be letting me know early in the morning anyway what the fucking results will be for this.
Michael Francis, sit down. Fuck me, man. That's what he needs. Chinese sit down with fucking John Bosch. The Bosch shoulder.
It's not going to be a stand-up. Who are you going for this week, Andy?
I was going to go for BLK Prime for this shit with Devon Farmer, but the guy that mocked up David Hay with fucking Eddie and the crew.
Damo.
I'm going for that one. That was fucking good. There we go. That's fucking quality, man. That's brilliant.
Shout out to Damo getting a nomination on his behalf for David Hay and the girls. Matty, who are you going for?
I have to go for Caleb Plant being part of Black History Month. I don't. Which one of these is not like the other? It's like a reverse of looking at like the U.S. presidents, by picture. It's Caleb Plant, you're not black. I'm sorry. Your wife is, but not you.
Congratulations, Caleb. You got a nomination as well. Oh, it's might be riding on you, rapping Rob Kelly. I'm not sure who I'm going to go for next. Who are you going for?
Jesus. I don't know, actually. Come back to me. No, don't come back to me. It doesn't matter that much.
I quite like H-Bomb myself, I must admit. Especially he missed the weight by 52 pounds in his last fight. That's something doing.
Yeah, H-Bomb is pretty good. We'll go for H-Bomb.
There we go. Hayden H-Bomb, right? You are the Belly of the Week winner for episode 511. Congratulations to you, sir. Just before I hand back over to Matty, shout out to Hayden Anderson, who joined us over on patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. And shout out to Richard Lodder for all of his contributions as well. And to all the super chatters, of which there were none tonight. Back to you, Matty.
Yes, it made me very sad.
Bunch of tight bastards.
They really are. Rough crowd.
Tight kids. Jesus.
But I do appreciate, nonetheless, everybody for listening and tuning in, and all those listeners that we do get throughout the week, whether it be on iTunes or Spotify or you catch us on YouTube. Everybody that joins in the fun, I appreciate you guys. I also appreciate Smitto for stopping by, Ozzy Smith, Andy Patterson, Rob Kelly, and Steve Wellington. Next week, we'll be back here reviewing what we do expect to be a very entertaining fight between Subriel Matias and Jeremias Ponce. And the week after that, we're gonna be able to watch Mark Magsayo against Brandon Figueroa, which I think is going to be a fantastic fight as well. So we're not throwing in the towel on this. We got some good boxing coming up. So you folks have yourself a fantastic time this week. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next Sunday.
We'll never forget.
I think that's good happening.
Go to and move!
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking Sri that can fight me.
I fell asleep. You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7-year ain't. I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love Boxing Asylum. It's as simple as that.